Go deeper with Lobbing Scorchers, scratch under the surface, get down even dirtier than we already get. Become a YouTube member. Sometimes things just get a little too spicy, a little too weird, and a little too loose for the general public. And the people to see that are YouTube members. We're talking about exclusive bonus videos, the podcast after show, exclusive written content, and little bits and pieces of information before the unwashed masses know about it. As a member, you not only get access to all of this amazing content, you get a badge next to your name and a slew of amazing emotes to use, not only in our live stream chat, but also in our comments section. And yes, we do have an emote for Jesus Ferreira, Go Snack, and Paul Rothrock. This is the best way to help keep us independent and keep us building out this crazy YouTube brand that we call Lobbing Scorchers. Hit the join button down below or hit the link in the top of our description if you're on mobile to join the ranks and become a Lobbing Scorchers YouTube member.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Lobbing Scorchers Under the Lights. Going to be hanging out tonight, talking some Seattle Sounders and Major League Soccer, talking a little more MLS Cup. We got some big news in Seattle Sounders land, as you might have seen. Danny Leyva reportedly getting transferred to Necaxa, Liga MX. We're going to go over that report, going to react to that. The first kind of shoe to drop, I guess, in the Seattle Sounders offseason, and kind of an unexpected one. If you'd asked me before the offseason started who was going to be on the move, I don't know if I would have said Danny Leyva. In fact, a lot of the talk with Danny Leyva was that he was in line to see an increase in minutes next year. So we're going to talk about the implications that's going to have on the roster, that it might have on Obed Vargas, all that good stuff. Dip a little bit back into the Moose discourse. I think Nico and I were going back and forth on that on kickoff on Monday, and I took some heat, took some negative feedback on the take, which I expected. I knew that was coming. But I did want to respond to a couple of things, but set the record straight on the Moose discourse a little bit. We'll get to that later. I also want to show you guys a really funny clip of Wilfried Nancy that we posted last season that is now going viral in Scotland. So we're gonna have some fun with that later. Before we get into it, everyone, please like the video, sub to the channel, like, comment, subscribe, rate 5 stars, follow us on Instagram, follow us on TikTok, and exciting news. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it yet. It might be confidential, but we're making there's another batch of the Lobbing Scorchers hot sauce on the way. We just talked to Jessica from Hacks and Ferments, and she said, you all killed it. They sold it out. They pretty much sold it out. I think it's either sold out or almost sold out. So another batch is coming. That'll be available lobbingscorchers.com/sauce. And if you haven't got the hot sauce yet, get the hot sauce. It's really good. As always, if you have questions, thoughts, observations, agendas, grievances, go ahead, drop them in the chat and get to as many as I can. I see a couple of you already cooking in the chat. Thank you all for tuning in to the December 4th Under the Lights. It's a little bit of a dead zone for the Seattle Sounders with them not in MLS Cup this year. We do have this Danny Leyva news and MLS Cup coming up on Saturday, which we'll talk about a little more later. Nico and I riffed on MLS Cup a long time on Monday, but the game's almost here, and then the season's really over. But I do think this is a good MLS Cup, at least from a neutral's perspective. I mean, you got the star power, you've got the Messi versus Mueller storyline. You got an Inter Miami team that is really they're playing for their legacies, their reputations. Lionel Messi's legacy is on the line in this game. But no, I mean I think the ultimate success of the Inter Miami project could be on the line. If they lose this game, it's going to be hard for them to really say they are who they have been trying to be or say they are. So, Yeah, I mean, Joey says definitely rooting for the Whitecaps. I think everyone is. Like, Inter Miami, obviously, I'm going to root against Spit Boy at any possible turn. You got Spit Boy, you got Face Puncher Boy. Average age 48.5 between them. Loose cannons. I don't really want to see them win MLS Cup, but I also think this Whitecaps team, man, they're really good. But then you also have the backdrop of everything they're dealing with back in Vancouver right now, as far as Don Garber gave his State of the League address earlier today down at MLS Cup. And he had some quote to the effect of like, the Vancouver Whitecaps are not getting the support from the city that they have earned from the fan base or whatever. It was something kind of ominous. I was like, Don, don't be like dropping hints about potentially having to move the club, right? What about them? They're about to play an MLS Cup. What are we talking about, Donnie boy? Anyway, let's talk about Danny Leyva. We'll talk about MLS Cup more later. I'm gonna pull up the report right now, and we will dive in to the details. There you have it right here. Danny Leyva this says could be heading to Liga MX Necaxa. This is from JO a couple days ago. So this was first reported by CL Merlo, which when CLM has a scoop, it's probably, and it's certainly has legs. It has legs. He's not gonna he's the level of pundit that if he puts something out there, you know that there's something behind it. And Sounder at Heart also independently confirmed the veracity of the report, that Danny Leyva has agreed to a 3-year deal with an option for a 4th year. So I don't know if it's been officially announced yet. I don't think it has, but yeah, exactly. It sounds like a done deal. This is going down. Per JO, the deal would involve some sort of transfer fee, although an exact figure was not immediately available. So, I mean, I think that's the first thing we need to learn is what exactly the type of transfer fee and compensation we're talking about here. I would think it's something in the realm of $1 million, 1.5, maybe up towards 2, depending on how much Necaxa rates the player. Danny Leyva did play against Necaxa in Leagues Cup and was carving them up. So that might have helped his case as far as becoming a transfer target for them. But they're going to get a transfer fee. And also, as JO notes here, it gives them some salary cap flexibility, maneuverability, of which they did not have much. This gives them a little bit more. Danny Leyva was on $350K last year, I believe, and was probably going to end up making a little bit more. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about the implications and what we think of this potential deal. What do you guys think? What do you guys think, chat? You happy about it? Danny better than Rusnak? Okay. Reese is bummed out. Honestly, very surprised just based off the role he played in Leagues Cup and rotating all year. So yeah, let's start right there. Just the season that Danny Leyva just had and what his value was and why this move ended up taking place. Danny Leyva's been around for damn near a decade at this point. It's crazy to think about because he's only 22, but he debuted for the first team when he was 15, famously scored a goal against the Vancouver Whitecaps that definitely counted. But it felt like the story with Danny Leyva was he came in with a ton of potential. He was kind of one of the OG academy product homegrowns that was really, really highly touted, especially at that position group. They ended up having like 6 of them, but he was sort of the first one where people were looking at it and were like, this kid is going to be a first team player and he could get transferred to, he was getting press about potentially going to Europe type stuff in a few years. And it felt like that never really panned out, not necessarily through any fault of his own, but guys like Obed Vargas and Josh Atencio were rated by the coaching staff more, or they figured that their skill sets were more apt for the minutes that could have gone to Danny Leyva. And it just feels like he never really broke into a regular role here in the way that he might have been expected to. And I think there's a few reasons for that. But this year, it felt like this year he finally, didn't it feel like watching him play this year that he really came into his own as a player that could really impact games, get on the stat sheet. He had 4 assists, all comps, I want to say, in more than 1,000 first team minutes across all competitions. So he took a step forward, I think, in that regard, but also in a couple of other facets as well. I don't know if he's a better player than Albert Rusnak. I don't know if I would say that, but he certainly established himself as a better set piece taker this year. I think he had the best free kicks on the team this year. He had the best corner kicks. He had that insane free kick in Leagues Cup that Nuhu ended up scoring the rebound. But that just showed that his free kick delivery, his set pieces can be special. And that was an asset to the team when he played. And that would have been a big asset next year for coming off a year where I feel like the set pieces got better at the end of the year, but by and large, they were not nearly as good as they were in 2024, when that was kind of one of the only ways that they could score. So you are losing a kind of X factor type skill in that. And then also, he had a lot of dimes this year that felt like it was just the types of passes we've always known he could hit, but for whatever reason, it wasn't showing up in games as much. But trying to remember exactly what goal he was. He had this kind of through ball to Paul Rothrock in one of these last games of the season. I think you guys know which one I'm talking about. I can't remember what game that was, but he hit Rothrock on this sequence with a through ball that ended up leading to a goal. Was that the Minnesota game where he hit and Rothrock hit Obed on the cutback? I honestly don't remember, but it's passes like that he has in his bag, and that he had that against Necaxa in that Leagues Cup game, and I'm sure they saw that and were like, we want that guy. So is this a good move? If you look at the Lobbing Scorchers Instagram comments, I think I figured out this is our first off-season discourse since we've kind of had a lot of people tuning in. And I think it seems like anytime you have an outgoing player who's good or kind of good, you're going to get a lot of people who go to the immediate crash out, this is terrible. How could we lose this guy? He's so good. He was going to be a key player next year. What are we talking about? What are we doing? That was all the good stuff we were hearing on our Instagram. I think there's a couple things to keep in mind. Number one, I think the most important thing, which this is what Jo was talking about, was this feels like a move they might not have done if they felt like Obed Vargas wasn't going to be on the team next year. I don't know if this alone means that Obed's coming back, but it sort of feels like that's what's going to happen, and that is going to end up being the bigger story from all of this. Because if you remember at the Craig Wybes presser, Nico asked Craig Wybes about the situation with Obed, and he was like, Craig, you realize that if you let him play out his contract through this year and he doesn't transfer, then he can just walk on a free. Like, are you concerned about that? And Craig Wybes dismissed it. He was like, his exact quote was, I view that differently than you do. Which this is one that we're really gonna have to see what Craig Wybes has in his bag here, because Nico and Jo were talking about the if he were to actually defend that outcome of Obed Vargas leaving this team on a free, like what would his defense of that situation even be? And it amounted to something to the effect of like, well, if you think about the value that they've already gotten from Obed, Obed made 140K or something last year. They've already gotten such insane production relative to what they paid for him that I guess the idea is like, well, if he does leave on a free, then it's kind of already a W because you like developed him and you won a trophy with him, beat Messi with him. And I think Craig also said like, well, if that happens, that's like someone else's problem or something like that. And I don't know. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills or something. But like if Obed leaves on a free, would that not be a disaster? Like what is I don't get the argument the other way. I don't get that. And I do think like Craig Wibbs, if he's gonna contend that later on in this, if that's where this is going, he's gonna have to explain that in a way that he's gonna have to explain that to me like I'm 5 years old. So I think that there is a line to be drawn there of like the fact that they were willing to move off Danny Leyva and just kind of how they've been acting about the Obed situation. It seems like they are going to go into next year with Obed on the team and maybe let him play out his contract. That seems crazy to me. Like, am I missing something? There's no way you can let that happen. And like, I don't know, only saying I view that differently than you do. I would like to hear how he views it then. But that does seem to be the situation. And, you know, for me, the tough thing is there's kind of no version of the Seattle Sounders next year in 2026 that could be better than the team this year was with Obed Vargas. I don't know if that made sense. They can't be a better team next year if he's not on the team. I feel like you can kind of only regress in the quality of your starting 11, almost like no matter who you replace him with. I guess you could make an insane signing or something like that. But are they really going to be as good as Obed? I have a hard time seeing that. So from that standpoint, like, yeah, I want him on the team next year. And, you know, as to this point, Reese, like Obed staying makes the least amount of sense for his career. It would only benefit the Sounders. He doesn't want to become an MLS lifer. I think it's like, there's kind of two questions, like what's good for his career and what's good for him next year. Nico and I were talking about this too. There is a danger for him on doing a transfer to a big club or a club in Europe in a World Cup year where he's trying to break into Mexico's first team. You would think that moving overseas would be like the best thing for his Mexico World Cup stock, but that's not necessarily true. If he goes somewhere where he's buried on the bench and he's not playing, he's not going to get called in. Here he's going to play every minute of every game to be able to kind of to demonstrate his stock. I believe in his ability enough that I think any club he goes to, he's probably going to be one of the best players on the team. But like, as far as his World Cup ambitions, and it's not even like about Seattle, just being on a club where he's going to be playing is very important. And there's no guarantee of that if he gets transferred. So that's something he's got to think about from his perspective. But as for being an MLS lifer, I don't think it's like, oh, I'm going to stay and be an MLS lifer. I think the thought would be, I'm going to stay where I know I'm going to get playing time and try and boost my World Cup stock. I think that is something that's at play here. Bad Sequels, thank you for the super chat. You rock. Thanks for the off-season content. I got you guys. We're going to be doing off-season content all off-season. We'll be doing content even if there's nothing to make content about. But in this case, we got blessed with our first Seattle Sounders transfer of the offseason. Oh, and we got Noah tapping in. He said that he didn't want to tap in. I thought I was going to be running the ship solo all night. Here he is. Let's bring him to the stage. What's up, man? Thanks for tapping.
I couldn't resist. You
wanted in on this Danny Leyva Discord.
I did.
You do.
I do have the football in the background. I have to turn this off before they come and copyright strike us. It's the NFL.
Hold on. Dude, yeah, we don't want the NFL oligarchs after us. That's the scariest class of oligarch.
Okay, it's off. We're good.
All right. I'm talking Danny Leyva. Where do you want to start with your take on that? Because I kind of went off on an Obed tangent about the Craig Weib's quote to Nico. I view that differently than you do. Seems like bro is about to leave Obed, or let Obed leave on a free at the end of the year. Which, okay, this is where we'll start. Am I missing something, or is that like kind of insane to say that and then not like explain it?
And we're talking about the presser response that Craig gave here.
Kind of just the whole way he's acting about the Obed thing. Like, yeah, I view that differently than you, which I don't know what he means by that, but to me that sounds like, well, you might think it's a disaster if he plays out his contract and leaves on a free, but I don't think that.
Listen, I love Craig Weibel for a lot of reasons. I think that he's really good at his job, and a lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. Like that's fully your prerogative. But one of my favorite things about him is that he has no media training. He is the least media trained individual I've ever met on the planet.
Kind of crazy.
He's just a guy who should not have a microphone. Like, if there was a guy who shouldn't have a microphone, it's him. And like, I understand that half of your job is to literally talk to reporters, and I think that he's a lot better one-on-one. But yeah, I don't understand his posturing from like any perspective. Like, I can accept, and like, I think someone just hit a sign over here. I don't know what's going on. Sorry, guys. It's a crazy night on the hill. It's Craig out there. He's about to break into my house and tell me that I'm wrong.
He listens to the pod.
But like, I think that the posturing is incredibly odd. Like, brother, it is a disaster if you lose $5 million, which is like probably the minimum you would get for the guy realistically.
Probably double that.
$5 million? You're acting coy, but like, brother, that's a fucking disaster. That's a disaster.
Okay, that's what I think. I don't see this. Nico and Jo were trying to explain the spin on the What We Learned show, not like saying that they agreed with it, but just like laying out what the spin would be, and they laid it out. And I was like, I went into listening to them. Yeah, I went into them listening to lay it out, and I was thinking like, all right, this whatever they're about to say here, it's at least there's gonna be some sort of logic to it that from an executive perspective, I can understand why he would think that, even if we don't think that. But then they explained it, and I was like, I don't think that makes sense. I don't think that makes sense.
I mean, listen, I want to think that it's just Craig being a little bit like uncomfortable about the question, because he is getting his ass raked over the coals right now for it, like from every side. I know for a fact too that like Obed has new representation. They know that they have the upper hand. The Sounders will sign him at the number that they're going to sign him at. There is a maximum.
There's a max. I think people might not get that.
There's a max number.
There's a max number, and it's lower than what his camp wants.
Right. But I don't think and this is completely with zero insight into the situation. These are how I fly into these things, chat. There is a 100% possibility that they're just using this as a way to like float out and get feelers, get any option that they possibly can in front of Obed so that he can make a decision at the end of the day for what he wants. And I think that it also goes into play, like what Nico is saying is right. If Obed wants to focus on the Mexican national team and he wants to play in the World Cup, it's absolutely imperative that he keeps his minutes. And it makes way more sense to say at the Sounders if that is your goal. I don't know what his goal is. And so that's a part of the problem too, is like we're guessing all these things. And like, who knows? But I think that when it comes down to it, it's a bunch of like agent bullshit and business bullshit where you have a number. Everyone knows the number. The number isn't bad. The number makes sense. But does Obed want to pursue going to Europe, or does he want to pursue the Mexican national team? I think that his agent is strong arming and setting him up for the opportunity to actually get to pick which one he wants. And you can't really fault the agent for that, but it does make Craig look really bad.
It's an important point, though, because I think a lot of people are under the assumption that his World Cup ambitions and his playing in Europe ambitions are kind of one and the same. When I think the reality is it's the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
His World Cup ambitions are undeniably more positively affected by him playing here because he has the guaranteed minutes, like in a midfield partnership that's the best in the league that he's playing in. He is one of the best players in the league already. So,
but apparently not best young player of the year because that's some random.
I mean, number one on U20, 22 under U22. But like, it's about playing time, and from his perspective, there is a serious risk that wherever he goes wouldn't give him the playing time for him to get called in for the World Cup. And to me, I feel like just based on what I've heard him say in interviews about playing for Mexico and how important it is to him and like to his dad and everything, that seems like what the holy grail is for him, is like suiting up for Mexico at a World Cup. So, I mean, I get all that. And the Seattle Sounders in 2026 will be at their best if he's on the team starting every week. But I mean, I don't know.
I have this question for you, and maybe this is a little bit counter, but like, let's say Obed doesn't decide to sign the extension. Does that fall on Craig? Does that make Craig like the worst GM in the world?
This is a good question because it's just really hard to know without being a fly on the wall. But he has taken a lot of criticism for them not getting the U22 extension done with him sooner. But kind of from everything that we've heard about it, doesn't it seem like his camp was just like, no, we know, like the value that we know we have with this player is such that we don't even need to do that. Like we know that if we don't sign that and you don't transfer him out, we're going to cash in no matter what. So like, you can't make someone sign something, can you? Like,
no, I think, I come at it in a conflicted way because like on Obed's side, they would say you want to sign him to a U22, but he's very clearly way more valuable than a U22 slot. You're getting more production. He could be a full TAM player and it wouldn't matter. Like, we don't give a fuck about your roster mechanics. This is a player that makes your team great. Like, it shouldn't matter his age. And for the Sounders, it's like, well, we have to accommodate 38 players on our roster. And there's just like, this is the spot we can fit you on. And this is the exact number that we can fit you on. And so it's one of those things where it's like, can you be mad at either party? No, like both parties are trying to do what's best for them. But the reality is like the player will always have the upper hand, especially when they're a young player who is wanted by basically every league in the world, including multiple MLS. I promise you, there's offers floating around out there, and this is just uneducated guessing, but there's other MLS teams who would pay him a very high TAM contract, and he would play every minute.
But don't you think, regardless of whether it's Craig's fault or not, if the final outcome of the situation is that he leaves on a free, that is like he's going to get absolutely obliterated for that in the discourse.
Yeah.
Even if there was
collateral damage, regardless.
Even if there was no way that Obed was ever going to sign the U22 extension, if he ends up leaving on it, but then you can't like take a bad offer just to avoid that bad press.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I don't know. I kind of don't know what you do here.
It's a pickle, dude. They're in a pickle.
They should have signed him to the extension They should have signed him to a 10-year extension when he was like 15. That
After the
been way.
debut, bro, after the Austin game, they should have signed him to an extension for 20 years.
I mean, I don't know how else you would have avoided it other than getting in front of the extension before he like became what he is. But since he became that good and realized that he didn't want or didn't need to sign it, I don't know if there's like a better GM that could. I'm not sure. You know, we're kind of like known as like the Craig Weibel defenders or whatever.
Listen, he waves to me in the hallway in the press box. I'll own it.
I don't even like the fact that we're like dubbed the defenders. What I think we are is like we try to be fair evaluators and give credit for the good things, and if there's bad stuff, we'll criticize it. You know, instead of knee jerk.
I just talked about how he has no idea how to speak.
Yeah,
in front of a
well,
microphone.
his media acumen, Garth Lagerwey, he is not in that regard. But I also like I said, I don't know if you could sub a better GM in there and they would have gotten Obed to sign the U22. Like, I'm not sure that's how it works.
It's the curse again. Like, you can blame Craig for the way in which the Sounders built this roster being lean and mean and deep. Like, if it was a different build, if it was a Garth Lagerwey built roster, there might be a way where they're like, we want to keep you no matter what. Like, we'll give you a TAM. We'll figure it out. But that's like just not the way that Craig has built this roster. And I don't think that it's been bad because you have Jesus Ferreira and you have Paul Arriola and you have all these players on this. You had a Ryan Kent. You had all this stuff. Like, the way that he has built the roster is just different. And so it doesn't allow you, it allows you like a very narrow passageways for things like the Rothrock negotiation, where you have someone who wants more money than you physically can give them, or like competitively across the board, like he wants more money than his market value, but you're also like constrained within this really tight salary cap. And then you're also negotiating with Obed Vargas, who, God forbid, if you can't get that deal done, or he's like, I'll only do it if it's a high TAM deal or whatever. Like, yes, he has put himself in this situation, but like, that's the way he built the roster. So I can totally understand the frustration and the like criticism on that front. But it's like, that's also the reality of a salary cap league.
I think he deserves to be criticized for the response to it, like as much, if not more, for the situation. Kind of like trolling Nico. I view that differently than
he was doing a Brian Schmetzer, bro. Like, Craig, leave the trolling Nico to Brian.
Yeah, exactly. That's Schmetz's job, is trolling Nico, but it's also like I don't know. I'm just like, bro, I mean, if you're not taking this issue seriously, I feel like you should be. Unless I'm like, am I on drugs? Like, what am I missing, Craig? Like, you can't have him leaving on a free. But he said he views that differently. So apparently, it feels like that's what's going to happen. Like, do you see a different outcome?
There must be something.
There's got to be something.
There must be something that isn't being talked about, because, and this is something that I've also thought about. And again, you guys know how I am. I'm just shooting this from the hip. I have no inside information, but like, there must have been something said in negotiations about like, where they're pressuring him about like, oh, we know that you want this transfer fee. Like, we know how important this transfer fee is to you. And so now he's going out when he's in public in the media and trying to downplay that. Like, I don't care. Like, it's like, there's no reason for you to say that. And like, I kind of agree with Nico. Had a fucking amazing crash out, by the way, on kickoff. If you guys haven't seen that
was sick.
That was so good. But like, there's got to be something. There's got to be something that we don't know about.
I don't
something
know what
that
it
is said. You don't say something like that unless there's context, or you're just incredibly inept and unmedia trained. And like, I do think that he is partially that, but I don't think he is to that level, because that was one of the worst responses I have seen from a Sounders official
so bad
ever since the locker room debacle.
Yeah.
The t-shirts. Yeah. Like, I think, you know, that was on the level of yelling at your players. Like, that was weird.
The response to Nico was weird. What my theory kind of is on what's going on a little bit, and this is also just like total speculation firing from the hip. But I get the vibe that Obed's camp, like his agents are just like super hardball. Like, we're not going to compromise on anything at all.
Agents.
You're going to give us what we want or fuck off. We have all the leverage here. Get slammed, Craig Wibbs. I think I'm paraphrasing what I think they said, but I think that's the kind of how they act towards him. And I think that's kind of, there's like simmering tension or beef there between the camps.
I agree. I think that's like exactly what's going on. Like, I think that's what I'm saying. Like, there's something that's unsaid. There's something happening that we're not privy to. Obviously, we're not in these conversations. I would love to be a fly on the wall, though.
I would give anything to sit in on
I
that
would
negotiation.
love a Hard Knocks for the Sounders. Like, I think that it would open people's eyes so much on how good Craig is at his job. I don't think the people who were haters, like, you know, like Reese is going to still hate him no matter what. Reese, we love you. But brother, I know Reese, is there anything that man could do or say that would make you that would make you like him? Maybe sell Jordan Morris. He would like that. But like, I think
buy out Rusnak, sell Jordan Morris.
Yep. Yeah. But like, I think that's the reality. Like, there's a lot of shit going on that we just have no idea what's going on.
I don't know. I just feel like it's now this situation where we're going to be going into 2026 still unresolved.
Yeah.
Obed's going to show up to camp. We're all going to be like, all right, I guess.
Are we going to get a like holding out of camp situation?
That would be fire in
Dude,
MLS.
I need that. We haven't had that.
I do. The idea of an MLS Hard Knocks is, I've been saying that for
they did
for years. Like a fully, like you know how they do Hard Knocks in season now? Like, just have Apple TV follow around the Sounders for like all that. Oh my God,
they should let us do that.
Yeah, that's like the dream project.
Like, yeah, new pet project unlocked. We'll hit up comms. I'm sure they'll be so interested.
But
in
like,
that.
you know, they did in season Hard Knocks
right now. I know you have this on in the living room TV. Come on, you would love to hang out with me, just like with a camera in the corner.
They did in season Hard Knocks with like the Giants, who are obviously like dumbasses and don't know what they're doing, and it was hilarious content, like seeing the behind the scenes of their GM. Not that a Sounders Hard Knocks would have the same impact, but you can get such good content with that type of behind the scenes stuff. The whole Obed component of this is one that I mean, I don't know, like we've been saying, I feel like there's just something that might be going over our heads with how this is panning out, because I don't get it. But what do you think of Danny Leyva going to Necaxa, the original topic before we got off on the Obed tangent? I mean, that is, as far as ripple effects, that's kind of the biggest one. But just for the transfer itself, the player moving on, $350K or so, maybe more off the books, got a little more maneuverability. What do you think of all this?
I think it's a great deal for all parties. From what I've heard, that's been reported and not reported. This is the part where I like kind of have a little insight. I didn't know about this until it was reported on by I'm totally gonna blank on his name, but the transfer guy.
Merlo.
Yes. C. Merlo. Yeah. And I think it's great for Danny. Like, Danny has deserved to get minutes. He's stepped up. He's improved himself so much. It was a little shocking, considering that, like, I thought he would be taking. He was poised to get a lot of minutes. That's basically what everyone was saying, and it felt like that. And also, Ari with the 300-foot 3-pointer backcourt cross behind the back shot, saying on KJR, you know who's going to be a big step up next year? Snyder Brunel. Guess what, buddy? Get ready to learn Snyder Brunel. And Ari was right, as he usually is. What a fucking call. But I think that it's exciting for Danny. I think he's actually going to do really well there. That's an exciting story. They're also filming a documentary. They do like
they're doing Necaxa Hard Knocks. How do they get one, but the Sounders don't get one?
They do a Wrexham thing there. So that's cool. And
I'm going to watch that now for Danny Leyva.
Exactly. And I don't know. I think it's great for him. It's great for the club. That's good money off the books.
What do you want to see them do with the flexibility?
Sign Paul Rothrock. What the fuck? Like, Yeah, like I know that it doesn't make sense to do that, but like that's what I would do.
It just sounds like they're not budging off their sick. The Rothrock situation, best I can tell, is he's saying, I want 800. They're like, we got 6, and that's it. It doesn't matter what else happens with the roster.
Yeah.
They've kind of made their evaluation.
I think that they won't do much with that flexibility. I think they might just like kind of like work the roster a little bit more. Nico said that they might sign you, Sukanome, to a contract, first team contract. It just gives a little bit of flexibility, but I also think maybe they want to keep that open for a U22 striker, but I don't really know how the hell they're going to budget for that.
I mean, you kind of have to make a couple of additions now that you've lost JP and Danny Leyva, right? Like you can't just. I think
that's probably where that will go
for the next window. Like you have to. Which that's kind of exciting. Got to get a couple new players in an offseason where we weren't sure how much of that we were gonna get, but now with Danny Leyva kind of unexpectedly moving, that opens the door for that. On the topic of Snyder B, like that's exciting for me because I've been the Snyder B guy, like you said, and we'll see what happens with that. But I feel like if he's just given the opportunity to get a lot of MLS minutes, I think he could be a guy as soon as next year that, you don't want to necessarily rely on him to be the week in, week out starter.
But I want him to get a lot more minutes now that Danny's gone, regardless of who they sign. They'll sign that, they will sign someone. I do think they will sign someone in the defensive mid. Because it was already thin. Like it was already thin last year. Like, and you lose 2 players who are slotting in at those spots. Like, yeah, they're inevitably going to sign someone or bring someone up. But like, yeah, and this is also a good point that U22 players only are $200K in cap against the game. So that's, you could essentially sign a U22 player and have $50K on the budget from moving Danny Leyva, who was essentially just like chilling,
When they're going to sign the U22 eventually,
maybe
theoretically,
maybe they'll do that.
Maybe, but like not this offseason.
They'll do it in the summer. They'll try again in the summer. Like I don't know.
He's waiting
like
for the calendar to switch to sign the U22. That was the other funny quote at the presser. He was like, "Good thing we didn't sign that. Good thing we didn't sign the U22."
Okay, that was another one. I was like, Craig, shut the fuck up.
Why are you
bro.
saying that?
Stop talking, bro. Stop. He was
like actively antagonizing the brigade.
He was strutting his shit, and I was like, brother, please, I can't defend this. I can't defend this. Like, he did the whole bit. He was literally, he listened to our show, and he said, you know what? Fuck it. Noah's right. Noah's right. You could put anyone at the 9. You could put anyone at the 9. It doesn't matter. Danny Musovski, we don't care about that guy. We just put anyone at the 9. Like
at U22, we got Osaze. That's basically what he was saying.
Yeah, who needs a U22? We have Osaze. And I was like,
it's one of those things where it's like, even if you're right, just don't say it.
Yes, brother, please. Silence. If you have nothing good to say, don't say nothing at all.
You're making our lives more difficult, Craig. We defend the good moves when you make them. You've made he's made a lot of them. I want to do a show at some point where we go through and like actually look at each of his moves individually and
grade them out.
Grades. Yeah.
Because we should do that in the in-person pod. That would be good. Now we just spent an hour and a half before this content planning, so now you can see where my brain's at.
Yeah, I mean, well, because I think if we actually did that thought exercise, it would kind of illustrate what we sort of talk about all the time, which is that there's a lot of valid criticism to be had regarding not just the GM, but like their whole approach to like summer windows and sort of not making the splashy moves and stuff. So like, I think we complained about that. We have complained about that. And then I also think there was a lot of moves at the beginning of his tenure that like raised eyebrows. Like I was thinking back on this, like why the anti-Wabel crash out brigade began to begin with. It's similar to the Rusnak situation actually, where you had the start of a tenure that didn't start well, and people formulated their opinions based like purely on that, and then there was just like a refusal to adapt the perspective when there was new information or like new things to judge it off of. So if you think about how Craig Weib's tenure started, it was not good. You had Abear.
Oh
right?
God.
You had
XG King.
You had XG Merchant King Abear, who that was his like first move. Like that was his attempt of like being like, all right, I'm gonna try and find like the Will Bruin, Kenny Cooper, Chad Barrett, or whatever. And that was a total whiff. And then you went from that to Moose was freaking awesome this last year, but his first year he was injured.
Seasons.
Yeah, it was only 1 year. It was 1 year, 2024.
Yeah, it felt like 2 years because it was that bad.
He had 1 goal, 1 assist in like
season.
500 minutes. And he wasn't
and Leo Chu.
He wasn't playing, he was injured. Leo Chu, wasn't that a
That was
Garth era. It was really the ones that set off the most criticism were Abear, and then there was Moose, who after the first year on the team, that looked like a Abear repeat. And then you had De La Vega, who we had no idea what the situation was because he was always injured. So I remember anyone who thinks that Jordan
contract.
Anyone who thinks that we've been capping this whole time, go back and listen to Lobbing Scorchers episodes like 7 when we were talking about Abear, Pedro De La Vega not being able to get on the field, and Noah crashing out about Moose. There was everyone, the whole fan base was totally within their rights at that point to kind of look at the totality of it and be like, yo, what was this? Like, Abear just comically bad. Moose,
terrible,
injured, unproductive, not like good when he did play. De La Vega been hurt the whole time. 0 for 3, right?
0 for 3.
So,
and people hated him because of the Morris contract, which really wasn't
but like, and that was like the icing on the cake. Like everyone was so pissed about everything else, and then they were like, and by the way, Jordan Morris is now a DP. It's like
I remember when Jeremiah told us that, like, in confidence, I think we were in LA, and I was like, oh brother.
Yeah.
This is gonna be the
timing
a
of it.
storm, dude.
The timing of it was impeccable because he was already under the gun, and then it's like Jordan Morris is a DP, and everyone's like, "Why?" And it's like, "Because I put these escalators in and didn't tell anyone about it. Now that's our DP9," and everyone was like, "Oh my god!" And like, I'm saying that I understand that reaction. Like, I get it. We were in the same boat.
You were defending it. You were defending the escalators. Don't lie.
The escalators I was, but like I definitely was not trying to. I did not enjoy the Abear experience any more than anyone else. I was coping by
it was good comic relief.
I was coping and saying I was XGing. I was like, I wasn't XGing, but it was like, you know, I swear to God, like if he just keeps getting chances like this, eventually he's going to start scoring, and he just never did. But I think since then there's been information to like the opposite perspective, which is that the Moose signing actually turned out to cook. The Ferreira trade was awesome. That worked out great. Like, regardless, I know some people are still down on the Ferreira stock. I think that's silly. I don't get it. But even if you want to say that his stat sheet production was underwhelming, which I would grant, it was not like what we were hoping it would be when they made the trade, but they won a trophy with him as like a focal point, and he was really like, he was a great soldier for the team all year. He was durable, he was available, unselfish, ran the offense really well, won a trophy. Like, that was an objectively like good trade. It was a good trade. The Moose signing was good, and then De La Vega, I mean, it's still a tough one because I know he got injured again. But where I land on that one at this point is like the talent, like the scouting, the talent that they were scouting up, and their belief that he was worth what they paid for him to bring him in, and that his impact on the field could be like very, very pronounced, and like he could be a real needle moving player in MLS. Having watched De La Vega play as much as we got to actually this last year, I think they were right with that. Like, the player is incredible. Like, his talent level is off the charts. So that aspect of it, I think the GM and the scouting department, they had it right. It's just he hasn't been able to stay healthy. But that's a different issue than missing on the talent evaluation. Like he clearly is he
needs to drink
quality
more milk.
player.
He needs
maybe
to
that's
drink
what it
more
is.
milk.
But anyway, all that's to say is like the record is much more of a mixed bag than it gets talked about. So I feel like we try and be the ones who point that out because I think that's being fair. But then he gets on the mic and is like putting on that performance at the presser, and it's just like. So I don't know. I don't even remember what we were talking about, but that's basically where things stand with.
I think we should have Craig on. I think we should have Craig on for Under the Lights.
I mean, it's been an open invitation. Have you literally said to him, like, please come on the show? And he's like,
oh, yeah,
he's
down. I've just never set it up with PR. Like, he's so down. I talked to him, like, I want to say, like, a couple months ago, and he was like, oh, yeah, I'm down. I'll come on.
That might have been I'll come on and then I'm not actually going to come on type situation.
The thing is, he is too much of an open book, though. I fear we would get him in trouble and never be able to have a guest on here again.
Exactly. That's kind of what I'm worried about. This is a good scoop here. According to Roberto, Brian Gutierrez to Chivas $5 million.
Thank you for your money.
I like Brian Gutierrez.
Wait, Brian Gutierrez is going to play for LAFC now?
Exactly. They've done it again. Craig would never come on the show again when the brigade hits the chat. Yeah, exactly. Can you imagine that?
Yeah. We'd have to hide the chat.
James and Reese just like, this is our moment.
Yeah. We would have to have 7 moderators in the chat to make sure to keep you.
Frankly, we probably wouldn't stream that. We would probably pre-record that one.
Yeah. We would edit out all of his gaffes because we're clear. We're shills. We're
I feel like we could ask the tough questions, but in a way that's like not hyper confrontational. But I don't know. It's a long shot that this would ever happen. But Craig, if you're watching, which we know you are, come on the pod. Let us know what's going on with Obed Vargas potentially leaving on a free transfer. We definitely want to know about that. The lack of concern I found concerning. We need him
on to clarify these things. We've got to be like, brother, you know that sounds insane. Because that's what I want to say to him. Like as a friend, Craig, we're boys. We're boys. We wave at each other in the hallways. Like we're boys. Like why are you saying these things? And why are you doing it to my coworker? Like why
are you trolling Nico like that?
Why are we trolling Nico? It's my job to troll Nico. At least say like, oh, I don't think you should be saying anything. I've seen your fantasy football trades. Like, like at least if you're going to troll him, hit him with something good, like not just like a smug ass remark. Like it was just not it, bro.
No, I think honestly, my biggest critique of him over anything outside of the early whiffs of which there were, really 2 out of those 3, I would argue actually ended up kind of panning out.
Yeah.
But my biggest critique of him is honestly the media aspect of it. Like Nico and I were talking about like the contrast and how good Garth is at that stuff compared to Craig Wives. It's I guess it's like not the most important part of the job, but it is an important part of the job. Like it's this is
fans. I understand that the fans aren't like important in your success, but like you do need to be a little bit endeared. Like Craig is not an endearing fellow when he gets on the mic. Like,
well, and this is what Jo and Nico were talking about, which is like, it's not about like defending yourself necessarily. It's about like articulating a positive vision that like fans are excited about and can get behind. Like saying like,
yeah,
I'm not concerned about Obed Vargas potentially leaving on a free. That's
player brain, bro. It's player brain. That's part of the problem is like these GMs who are former players, they don't understand how the media works. Brother, you're going to get quoted. So it doesn't matter the question they ask you. It matters your response because your response sets the tone. He just needs media training. And the fact that the Sounders haven't given him media training yet is kind of a failure on.
Well, maybe they have, and he's just sometimes you just don't have like the aptitude for something. He might think that he's cooking up there.
He needs to here, Craig. I'm direct to camera shot. Craig, let me tell you two things. Okay, Stop treating everyone like they don't know what you're talking about. I know that what you're trying to do is like explain it to the people, make them like think that they understand, right? Because that's like what you would do. You want to like be open and honest and like understand. Don't do that. Don't do that. You come off as a dick. Don't do it. It's not worth it. Second of all, just like either don't say anything or but don't be honest. You got to stop being so honest. Like, it's not good. It's not good to be honest in that position. I'm sorry. Like, I know that that's his whole bit. You got to stop. You got to stop being honest.
I don't even think it's about being dishonest. It's just like you can use what's it called? Like the GM version of coach speak, you know?
Yes.
Like that's the thing that most executives in his type of position do and know how to do that he just like doesn't.
Yeah, even Brian's not like just be more like a little bit more like Brian. Brian, I would not say is the best ever. He lets a lot of things fly, and he'll pick on people, but like just, oh, dude, I don't know. Maybe he needs a podcast.
I could see the Craig Weibel content creator arc.
I'm just saying.
Everyone else, all the players now are doing it. So why not the GM?
There's a player, the Sounders player of the podcast.
Well, not Sounders players, but like Julian Gressel and guys.
Oh
like
yeah,
that.
Julian Gressel. Yeah. It's okay. We're boys with them.
You want to talk about some Paul Rothrock? Why no one is talking about Rothrock? What's up with not keeping him on the team and pay him better? I mean, should
I debut my edit here on the stream? Just kidding.
I think it got copyright struck before even getting pubbed. But no, don't drop it yet because we don't know what's going to happen. He still could come back. It feels like he's for sure not coming back, but I don't think it's written in stone. I think what he's doing is going out and seeing what the market is, which is his right, his prerogative. And I think if the market isn't what he thinks it is, then there is still a possibility that they bring him back on the number that Seattle was offering him. It does feel like there's a little bit of like bad blood. It like feeling disrespected kind of vibe, doesn't it feel like that? But
yeah,
I don't think it's out of the question that he's not going to be back. But the one thing I will say is like, I'm not really sure I don't know if it's a situation where there's a party that's in the wrong from the standpoint of 800 for Paul Rothrock. I want them to pay that and I would pay him that. But you got to understand.
I'm also not a GM. You
got to understand the arguments from the other side of that when we're talking about a salary cap league. Like that's what is playing into their thinking and their decision with like not wanting to go past a certain number. And even if I don't agree with that evaluation, I think Paul Rothrock is worth 800 to this team. Like I honestly do. Like uniquely so to this specific team. But like if they're the ones who are looking at the cap, and if they're looking at that, like that would put us in a place that would preclude us from doing other stuff that we need to do, then I at least can see how they would get to a place of like, we can't go past a certain number. So
there's too many damn escalators in that contract, Ari. That's why they could never make a deal.
The Rothrock contract. Sign up for 600 and give them the escalators to 200.
Your escalator. If you have escalators in your contract, I think it like there's
so okay. Here's the argument against Paul Rothrock being an 800K player, which is that for all the value he brings to the team, he's not an elite stat sheet guy, or like and even like. His stat sheet production is like solid, but it's not incredible. Now he brings so much value beyond the stat sheet in a way that like sometimes people say that about players where I'm like, okay, like that's cope. Like, oh, the value he brings is beyond the stat sheet. You're saying that because he doesn't do anything on the stat sheet. Paul Rothrock, I don't think that is cope. Like in terms of what he brings to the table as a two-way player, he is the ultimate Schmetzer ball, like high press, high work rate, dog on defense type of winger. That is just like if you built Brian Schmetzer's favorite player of all time in a lab, it would literally be Paul Rothrock.
Yeah.
Stat sheet production be damned. So that's where, and we're biased because we're heavily pro Paul Rothrock, but that's where I look at it and I'm like, the 800K, like it's about more than the stat sheet. It's about everything else. Like it's about the work rate. It's about the attitude, laying it on the line for the club in the city every single time he's got the badge on. Paul Rothrock embodies all of that as much as any Sounder like I could think of, man. And if that's not worth 800K, if they do let him walk, they might find out that it was worth 800K. Like, I'll say that.
I think your Moose argument straight up applies to Paul Rothrock more than Moose. Like,
which Moose argument?
Your argument that like it's gonna be hard to find what you have out on the open market. Like, it's almost worth figuring out a way to keep him because like the grass ain't always greener. Like, I think that's the truth, right? Like, there is a uniqueness to the archetype of Paul Rothrock in this attack specifically, in the way that Brian wants to play. And like, also he's a fan favorite. Like, you need to do, sometimes you have to make bad business decisions to
you got to overpay a little bit sometimes.
Like, I don't know. I understand it from a business perspective, but it's really like, I don't know what number he's asking for too. I don't know what real number he's asking for. So it's hard to like say anything about that. Like, again,
I don't know this for sure, but like from all the reporting, everything I've read, it sounds like the sticking point is 600 versus 800.
Right.
It's around 200K.
So let's shoot the fucking difference and get this shit over with. Like, how much were we paying fucking Leo Chu? I don't know. But like, I tell you what, Paul Rothrock's 10 times the player Leo Chu ever was. Someone said we paid Jordan Morris $2.25 million. How many goals did he score this season? There you go. Paul Rothrock is durable. Paul Rothrock, the only thing he does is break his hand. He loves to break his hand. He will always have a broken hand.
But he plays for it with the bionic hand, so
it's like fine, yeah. It's like he's durable. We are already missing wingers, right? Pedro de la Vega, God knows how long he's going to be out. God knows he's going to get injured again. So like having a dude who's durable, who's a
don't
really
put that
good
out there
sub,
about Pedro de la Vega. Okay, it's a freak.
Chat, what do we think?
Freak
Chat,
injury.
Think?
No, I mean, like you are gonna have to enter the season like without De La Vega for the first month or two.
And like you're just gonna put Georgie there off rip forever. I've
already
argued
cutbacks.
This. What?
Because of the cutback passes.
Exactly. I've already argued this. Like, I don't think that's the vibe. Like, you can only do so many cutback passes, you know? And I guess Paul Arriola, you're hedging your bets on Paul Arriola, a double ACL tear, 30-plus-year-old man. You're betting it on there. Like, all right, like, awesome. I believe I like him as a player a lot. Like, I have been a big fan of Paul Arriola.
But it's like a matter of what you can feel like you can really bank on. Paul Rothrock, you can take to the bank. Paul Arriola is a little bit more of an unknown coming off the injury.
Exactly. And then it's like, then you're put in this position where Paul Arriola and Georgie are your depth starters going into the season. And Jesus Ferreira. And then I just like, I don't, do you play Reed Baker Whiting on the wing?
Well, like, we thought there is free agency. Like
there's Espinoza maybe like
okay, how would you feel about a situation where Rothrock walked, but the replacement was Espinoza?
I think that's not terrible.
I would be very salty about Rothrock.
But like they're going to be paid the same amount of money.
Yeah, but not like it's not like anything against Espinoza. I've already said like how hype I would be on that addition, but I would just be, for the sentimentality and the vibes, I would be salty that Rothrock's not on the team. But as far as like replacing the production on the field, that's like a way. That's a way.
Also, I'm sorry, Paul Rothrock was a starter. He was a starter.
Yeah.
It doesn't, we talk about this all the time, Ari. People forget about this, and it's something you cannot just sign a player and immediately slot them in and expect them to show up and ball out. Like, there is an acclimation period.
Hopefully
Do we need to do
people
the
learned
fucking
that
Jesus
lesson
Ferreira
with-
experiment
Yes,
all over
thank
again.
you. Yes.
Like
I'm hoping people learned that lesson from Jesus Ferreira this year, but also I don't know, like the discourse around Ferreira, I still think has lost the plot like a little bit. I look at that as like a resounding success of a season for him, and some people just don't, which I think is weird. But like to your point, he like that genuinely did not start off looking good at all, and people were already writing him off, and then he turned out to be excellent. So, but that there is that like acclimation period where of a new player that you wouldn't have with Paul Rothrock, who, like you said, like we talked about him as like a role player kind of backup, or at least used to. He played in 33 of the 34 league games and started.
Yes.
You know how many games he started?
20, 21,
27.
I'm sorry, Ari. I'm gonna say it. I know that I'm in the minority. You have to pay him what he wants. I know that I'm in the majority of like fans and the minority of the pundit class, but it's like he is a player that you can bank on going forward too. This isn't just a signing for right this second. You have to look ahead. He is serviceable. He fits the system. He already plays for the team. He's already been a starter.
You know what you're going to get.
You know what you're getting. I don't understand it. And you're literally telling us, Craig, at this press conference, you're saying we're doing everything we can to keep the current team that we have together. So fucking do it. You know what you did? You put him on a pedestal. You put him on a poster. You swapped Messi jerseys for him. Brian
damned the goal that like made that even more iconic.
Brian put him at the 9 in that game so he could score that fucking goal because he trusted him so much.
Yeah.
What else? And pointed out here too, he continues to improve. His value, you could sell him at some point. Like, you sell him at 28. Maybe you sell him somewhere. Like, there's value in him. I understand that the investment is hard right now, but it's like the difference of $100,000 fucking dollars, and Espinosa is going to be the same cost, if not more. So what are we talking about? I don't quite get it. Like, I understand, again, I get that you have to play the business. You got to play ball. You need to work within your salary cap. But it's like, dude, he's the Seattle DNA.
This is Gianni's given the devil's advocate, love Paul, just not an 850K player. I think that's kind of what we're saying is like
making.
He's if he's not an 850K, probably an overpay, but it's like what you have to evaluate is if it's a situation that's like worth the overpay for everything. He's not an 850K player on the stat sheet, but is he an 850K player overall? I think you could make the argument that he was producing and providing for the team that level of not stat sheet production, but like all the stuff around that in addition to what he brings to the stat sheet that combines to make a player who's more valuable than 600, say. I don't know.
I am currently diving in here to the fall salary release to see who is making 850K so that we can compare here, because it's like, brother, I don't.
Can you pull it up?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me do this here. Share screen.
Someone in chat is saying Moose is on 450K. So that honestly speaks to what I've been saying about Moose even more, I think, because that's less than I thought he was making.
Hold on. Let me try something here. Let's just search 800. See if there's anyone making 800K. That's going to be kind of hard. So
this is for all of
yeah.
MLS.
So you've got this random Montreal.
Yeah, exactly. Do that more.
Some random.
There you go.
Do you know who this dude is?
No clue. CF Montreal. No, I
Striker
got nothing.
making 800K. This is kind of a bad way to do it.
I mean, I don't know if comparing him
Alonso
to other players
Martinez, I mean,
making
he's
the
a center
same
forward,
thing is
but-
all that instructive, because a lot of it comes down to like your specific roster.
Yeah.
Like people were pointing out, like this team's sort of up against it with the cap, which is something that they're having to take into account when they're evaluating how much they should pay Paul Rothrock. But they have a little more maneuverability in that way now with the Danny Leyva deal.
Yeah, that's true.
Like what you said
Mark
at the beginning of like use that money to pay Paul Rothrock. Like I don't think that's like crazy.
Mark Anthony K makes 800K.
Still.
Yeah.
How old is that guy? Damn.
Exactly, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
what?
there's definitely a lot of players who made 8 to 10 times the money that he did this year that were not anywhere near as valuable. But I don't think that really that alone doesn't prove to me that like that's what the Sounders should pay him.
Also, I think people are forgetting that this is a makeup contract too. That's why he wants the money. He wants the money because he was making $90,000 a year, and he wants to make back the money that he lost essentially in his early career. So people are like, "Oh, 800 is insane. 800 is insane. 800 is insane." I get that, but in the perspective of Paul Rothrock, it's like I just played for you for 2 years
for nothing.
On nothing, and I was literally a starter.
You had me as the face of the squad while we took down Messi while paying me 104K.
Right, exactly. Like that's why he wants the money. I think that that's the reality. Like he has been underpaid and he wants to make his money. Soccer players have a limited time and all of that. It's just like, yeah, that's just the way that it goes, man.
Yeah, and you could say, oh, well, like take the hometown discount, just take the 600. But like, who are we to like tell anyone else that? Like that?
I would, brother, give me the 800K. Are you kidding me? Come on,
give me the 600.
Give me the 100.
I would sign
5.
I would sign for the 600 racks easily.
Yeah, dude, easy. But we're on a different level, you know? Like
what do you think happens with this? Like, do you think that he comes back or do you think he walks? Because the way I see it, like it seems like he's gonna walk, but I guess here's another way to think of it. If you were a MLS team that's kind of down in the dumps and you just need like foundational, reliable guys to give you a better floor, would you pay Paul Rothrock 800K?
Listen, I know that I don't think they're gonna have to pay him 800K. I think that's the reality. Is like he wants 800K from Seattle, he wants 700K from Seattle, whatever. But I think that he might take a risk elsewhere.
Sign for 600 somewhere else, just as like a FU.
I don't know if it's an FU. It's just a like this is a new challenge. There's different reasons that people, do it. But I mean, I don't really know. I think this style fits him well. Like it's crazy. I don't know. We're talking 800K, like 800 for what he's producing. If he was producing this in the championship, like he wouldn't get paid $1 million. Like this is just ridiculous. This is stupid. Like I don't know. It's just because of the salary cap. Like I don't think it's that big a deal, but whatever.
It is like an interesting dilemma of like,
I don't think they're gonna sign him. I think he's gonna move.
It's like how much is like the everything he brings to the table worth relative to the production type argument? Like how much money is the Rothrock aura and the vibes and everything he does for the team, like as a two-way player and stuff? How much money is that worth with Seattle's current roster construction and situation? I mean, I don't really know, but I hope they get him back because obviously you love Paul Rothrock, but I also think they kind of, like we were talking about, they kind of need him.
Yeah, they kind of need him.
Like you got to be able to, we all know what's going to happen, which is if he does come back, is they're going to start somebody else and then he's going to end up starting every game because of like injuries or whatever.
I think honestly, like if the Obed situation wasn't in such shambles, the Paul Rothrock deal would have been done. I think it's true. Like I think that there's just so much. They're freaking the fuck out about the Obed deal so much that they're like having to try and keep as much cap space as possible open, because like if you're gonna pick between Obed or Paul Rothrock, like again, I love Paul Rothrock, but you gotta sign Obed.
Pick one. Primetime on 775 or Obed on a TAM.
I mean, they're gonna pick Obed on a TAM because they want to transfer him for a transfer fee, but that's
like I think that's a good way of thinking of it. Of like, it's not always as simple as just like pay the man. Like that's the types of decisions you have to make. Those are weighty.
The problem with this whole situation is that everyone's valid. Like I think the Sounders are very valid in their offer. I think they've offered him a number.
I think so too. I know a lot of people disagree with that, but I think so too. Like 100 to 600 with what they have at their disposal with this salary cap league, with all these rules. Like that's not like I don't think that's like disrespectful, is it?
I don't think Paul Rothrock thinks it's disrespectful. I think that it's a game. Again, like we're talking about this like this is all personal. Like yes, it is to an extent, but like it's not like I don't know how to explain it. It's just it's a shit show right now. It's the wrong time for Paul Rothrock to be making a stink. Unfortunately, that's the truth. That's the end of it. And so what he's going to do is test out free agency, and if someone gives him a good number, like why not take it? Like I think that's the truth. Like
you're gonna be watching Georgie hit these cutbacks next year, and you're gonna like it. All right.
Yeah,
that's where this might be headed. I'm okay with that, but
I'm happy that he's gonna have a chance to prove me wrong, and I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, not to like go down that whole rabbit hole, but I when we were going back and forth on this the last time about the Doyle cutback stat, I think what you were saying about questioning him being well-rounded enough in that Schmetzer archetype type winger role.
There's going to be growing pains.
There's going to be growing pains with that, and it's a valid concern as to whether he can develop his part, that part of his game enough to be trusted by Schmetzer to be like a regular starter as opposed to a super sub. I do think the only way you can give him a chance to prove he can do that and develop the skills to do that is to play him. And that's sort of the idea. It's like, it's not necessarily going into it with, we're going to bet the farm on Georgie carrying all this attacking load this year. They just have to, I guess they have to make the evaluation of, do we think he can evolve into this type of player to have, he doesn't have to be like a like for Jesus Ferreira and Paul Rothrock, but he does, like, you're right that he does need to develop and hone that part of his game to be a starter on this team. And that like cutback passes alone, while a good quality, like, yeah, that's not, you can't start him based on that. But I do think
his defending is abysmal.
Like he can get
defending is abysmal. Like that's the problem. If he can learn,
I don't think it's abysmal, but he has a lot of individual.
How many
errors.
Penalties did he give up? How many free kicks did he give up?
That's what I'm saying. It's like there's individual errors that stand out, but like over the course of a game, it's not like he's making those constantly
because he's playing 30 minutes.
Right.
So when he plays 60 minutes and he does that 6 times instead of 2, it's going to be a Leo Chu effect. And I'm just like, listen, I love Georgie. I think he's great. I just think it's a lot to thrust him immediately into this starting position. Paul Arriola will probably start, but like, regardless, it's just like, keep developing Georgie. I don't see that he's ready yet. I don't know.
Based on what we saw last year, it's just, that Schmetzer has a type of winger and Georgie has some of those qualities, but like when we're talking about how Paul Rothrock and Jesus Ferreira have all of those qualities, Georgie is not there yet. And it is like, he's still a young player, but he's like 23, 24. Like, will he ever get there is a fair question, but I don't think we have enough to say either way yet. And my thing is just that the physical talent and attributes and how exciting he is to watch, if he does develop, he could be like, I don't want to say unstoppable, but he could be a real handful. Like if he does complete his game more, and Seattle could stand to benefit from that a lot, because the reality is it's pretty hard to find guys that can just like destroy defenders 1v1 like that and like get into those dangerous areas and create those dangerous chances. Like cutback stats, like from watching him play, we can see his ability to do that stuff is special. And if it does develop more and he becomes more well-rounded, I mean, he could be insane.
Listen, to quote Wilfried Nancy, I started my career at 19. I ended 22. Maybe I started too quickly.
I was gonna play that during this show to relive it, because I was watching it today and I was like crying laughing. So now that you brought it up, you want to just do that?
But like I think he has some truth in there. That's like, keep developing Georgie. He's on the right path. He's doing all the right things. He's getting minutes for his national team. He's getting better. Throwing him into a starting position could be disastrous for everyone involved. And it's like,
I don't think that's what they're going to do, even if Rothrock walks. Like you said, Paul Arriola will be the guy. Yeah.
Yes. But it's just like, I don't know. Also, how did we go from everyone on the team being a winger to no one being a winger?
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of crazy how fast that happens. Also, everyone's a 6 or an 8 until they're not. Like, I don't know. I think
maybe we should sell Moose to have some more salary cap space.
All right, I want to watch the Nancy short real quick. Just indulge me.
Why not?
So just to give you all the context, Wilfried Nancy, Columbus Crew head coach, no more, has been hired by Celtic in the Scottish Premiership. Legendary side, big move for him. But what is funny about that is we posted a short, like it's like a year and a half ago, or no, this was like 2 years ago
it was a while ago
at this point, of Wilfried Nancy's press conference after the famous Sean Zawadzki game. And it randomly started picking up steam. This is how I learned about the Celtic thing, is I was like, why does our Wilfried Nancy short have 5K views? What the hell? And then it turned out is because there's all these rumors linking him to Celtic. So the entire country of Scotland was watching our Wilfried Nancy short. And that was also funny too, because I was looking at our analytics that like show you where our viewers and listeners are from. And, it's like all mostly Seattle. And then the random ones this last month were Scotland and Minnesota, which I was like, oh, so the Loons fans are tuning in. They were tuning in for that. They're probably tuned in right now. Hey, listen, you guys, coming back for Rick Ramsey, March 22nd.
Get ready, buddy.
Ready. See if he can do it again. Tell him to sign a couple guys. Maybe play a little footy this time.
Learn how to progressive pass, buddy.
But I just wanted to play it because I was watching the Nancy crash out again, and it's so good, man. It's my favorite MLS presser of all time.
It's so good. Oh my god, and the context.
Contract for one game, knowing that this is not the moment to sign this player, because what is going to happen? What we're going to sign this player? He's going to come in the locker room. He's going to be part of the group, but he's not ready for that. Sorry, my language. But this is fucking difficult. I started my career at 18 years old, but I stopped at 22 years old. Maybe I started too fast. Maybe I earned a lot of money when I was 18 years old, but at 22 years old, I had no more money. Professional contract for one game, knowing that this is not the moment.
No more money.
Who signed this player? Because what is going to happen?
The bit at the end just gets me every time. When I was 22, I had no more money.
I'm gonna forever use that. Like it's just in my brain.
Well, and so like I was just dying laughing at the thought of like the entire Celtic fan base, like this is, with no context, that's like their first impression of Wilfried Nancy. We got so many comments that were like, I have no idea what he's talking about, but I like him.
They were like, I hope he tries this with the board.
But then then like thinking back on the context of that, which was the Sean Zawatsky game, which is what he's talking about there, is what you can't tell from the clip, but what he's talking about is he's trying to justify why he didn't roster a backup goalkeeper for that game, and then his goalkeeper got a red card and he didn't have one, so Sean Zawatsky had to go in goal. And he is like, I think that line at the end, he's saying like, I'm not going to put the MLS Next Pro goalkeeper in there because it's like too too early. He's not ready
going to ruin his career if he plays.
And he starts talking about his own career. Like, when I was 18, I got all this money, and then when I was 22, I have no money. Like, I kind of want to hear that story, Wilfried.
Yeah.
What happened?
Hear about the playing career of Wilf Nance. Like, that'd be.
When I was 22, I had no more money,
and now I'm making a fuckload of money at Celtic.
Yeah. Exactly. Anyway, shout out Wilfried Nancy, a distinguished era. Certainly, he is a very good coach. Like, I'll give him that.
It's also funny because we literally called that he was gonna go to Europe. Also, I like Poke, but I still kind of wish that Nancy was the USMNT head coach.
Those would have been better press conferences for sure. How do you think he's gonna do at Celtic? Do you think he's gonna give your prediction, and then I'll tell you how I see it?
I don't know. I think he's going to do well because the Scottish Premiership is the biggest bullshit league of all time.
I could coach Celtic too, but like they go to UEFA Champions League and stuff, right? So he'll get to prove his.
I think he'll do. He's a good coach. He is a good coach. He burned out a little bit at the end in Columbus, but like, you know, I think he's a good coach. I think he has a good message. I think he's very tactically smart, and with the ability to like sign a bunch of players, and you know, it feels a little like, I know it's a step up, but it does feel a little lateral considering
the Scottish Premiership better than MLS.
I think that Celtic and Rangers are both better than MLS, but the league in general, no. The league in general,
no. And he's going to the best team with the most resources. It's Celtic and Rangers over there. That's it. Shout out Ryan Kent. And we'll see how he does in like other competitions like Champions League and stuff. I'm excited to see how he can roll in competitions like that. But I do think that he showed in MLS that there's this select kind of group of coaches in the world at any given time that really like genuinely can give you an advantage in any given game. And I think he's in that category. And I think that is a skill that's unique, and it transfers leagues. It's not like you go to another league and all of a sudden you forget how to do that and you're in over your head. Maybe some stuff you did in other leagues won't work in the new league, but I consider him in that tier of coach. So that's why I think it's a good hire for them, and I wouldn't be surprised if he keeps excelling and maybe even gets an even bigger job than that afterwards, because the most impressive thing he demonstrated in MLS was how much of a difference his tactics actually make in a given game. Like his X's and O's, they affect results in a way that not every coach necessarily can do as consistently. I don't know if I think Schmetz is better at that stuff than people give him credit for sure. But I don't know if he like affects games that way, that as consistently as Nancy seemed to for Columbus.
Yeah. No, I agree. I wish him well too. Like I want people to see that like MLS is a great place to be and coach and all of that. Like Also, I kind of hope he crashes out and we get some more content, because like the Scottish media is definitely gonna piss him the fuck off. Like he had it easy in Columbus. There's like 3 people who live in.
Can you imagine if he didn't roster a backup goalkeeper for Celtic?
Oh
like
my
in a game,
God,
and that
dude.
happened to them.
Oh my God.
That is the one thing where like he's a brilliant.
He was always complaining about the roster rules. He was bitching nonstop about the roster rules at any possible time he could get. He was like, we got poisoned, but also it was the roster rules. And oh my God, dude, he had the poisoning with this man, like had so much. We need like a in the arms of the angels, and it's just like him being
I was
like,
having a great
we
time.
have been poisoned. We have been poisoned.
I was having such a great time going down memory lane of the Sean Zawadzki game because if you remember that I think that was the first show where Lobbing Scorchers like broke into the national. That was our first time because the pod we recorded after that game was legendary. I think
we need more of those. We need to do more of those.
I had the but like games don't always give us content like that. Like the quote that got the most play was when I said, "Get wrecked, get bammed on, get a backup goalkeeper," and like that to me is like that's like a seminal Lobbing Scorchers moment. And we have Wilfried Nancy to thank for that. If he hadn't crashed out like that after the game, where Seattle put 4 past Sean Zawadzki. Like
Rusnak's stat padding masterclass right there.
That was that was an even funnier talking point because Rusnak got the hat trick, so like none of them counted. Oh man,
of course.
Great times, man. Great times.
That was the originator of the it didn't count. Like when we started talking about the it didn't count thing too.
Yeah, well, because that was right when Rusnak's stat sheet production was dispelling that complaint about him.
Yeah.
So like then it had to pivot to it doesn't count and he's lazy. So that you're right. That was the genesis of that too. That random ass game against the Columbus Crew. So much stuff happened out of that one.
Who would have thought?
All right. You want to hit a little Moose discourse to close it out here?
Let's do it. Yeah, why not?
I mean,
you want to let's talk about the Open Cup.
Oh yeah. We do have to talk about
that.
The
Sounders are not playing in the US Open Cup. This is the first time that the Sounders organization will not be in the Open Cup since like 2003.
Yeah.
So that's insane. They're doing this because the World Cup is happening, famously, in the city of Seattle, famously. And so they're removing the first round of the play-in, I don't know, whatever. There will also not be any Ballard FC. Ballard FC got banned on, and they will not be in there. And so no team in Seattle will be competing. There's one team that will be competing, US Open Cup legends, Spokane Velocity, who also were in the final. They were in the final for...
They're good.
They were
Remember
good.
We went to the Ballard Spokane game. They're like I don't know. They got something cooking where they're a lot better than a lot of League Two teams.
Yeah, like they're good, but they went to the League Two final this season, and lost. But I think that's pretty cool. Like so they'll be representing. Maybe we all have to go out there. That could be fun to go out to Spokane for a game.
Spokane Open Cup. We were talking about this. The Sounders. We don't even have to do that. The Sounders are going to be playing there in the Champions
Correct. Cup. But yeah, so no Open Cup. This is going to be the second year the Sounders haven't been in it, but there's literally no representation at all. So I guess I'll just monologue about it for a second.
Yeah, Cook.
I love the Open Cup. I think the Open Cup has so much charm and so much like really fun atmosphere. I love the shithousery of Starfire. Denny Bawanga pulling his pants down and pissing on the turf at Starfire in a random corner. Marcus Hanneman chugging a beer. Clint Dempsey picking up a red card and ripping it in half in front of a goalkeeper or in front of the referee. Like iconic moments happen at these games. That said, it's a really shitty competition. It really is. Like, it's poorly marketed, it's poorly filmed, it's poorly broadcasted. It's a disaster on that front. Like, I get why MLS doesn't want to be in it. They want to do Leagues Cup, and we have always said we enjoy Leagues Cup, and it's famously the most important tournament ever created. But aside from that, like, they've basically said, F you, we're doing Leagues Cup, and we're not doing Open Cup. It sucks. It really does suck. I wish that the Defiants were still able to play in it because
that's how I feel.
I had such a fun time watching them almost beat Portland.
I thought that was sick. I know a lot of people like were really upset when the first team wasn't playing it and it turned out to be Defiants. And I get that. But I enjoyed that. And I think that's what sucks about it is that I could live with the first team not always playing in it every year or not playing in it at all, but having Defiance in it was cool and it was fun. That was a good middle ground compromise. The game against the Timbers, like you said, was a lot of fun. We got a great vlog out of that. So that's what having the zero representation, like not even having Defiance in there, that is a bummer. And also, just to devil's advocate on the point of the Open Cup has been devalued from like shitty marketing and the broadcasts and the fields that they play on, and like all that stuff is true. But the people who argue against that would argue that it's sort of like a self-fulfilling prophecy situation where they're not putting any resources into making it better in those ways, and so they're kind of setting it up to fail, and then being like, oh well, see, we can't play in this is not a professional operation. And it's like, you could make it a professional operation if you actually put the time, energy, and resources into it. You just choose not to because you want to prioritize Leagues Cup.
It's just the thing. The truth is too that like if you look around the world, the FA Cup, do you think like it's very similar? Like it's a secondary tournament. It's something that's not super important to these MLS clubs. Like they're Division 1 teams. Like you think that a Division 1 team is going to be more excited? Like I don't know. Like watching Ballard play, watching Spokane play, watching the Des Moines Menace sign Sasha Kleshchin. He's like, let me dish the worst takes you've ever seen on Apple TV and then go get a red card in Open Cup. Like, you know what I mean?
Didn't they have like 5? Wasn't BWP or
yeah,
not? Maybe
they had the whole MLS grandpa squad out there. Like it was crazy.
Sasha, it was a lot of them.
Yeah. But yeah, like it's fun, but it is an unserious tournament. Like that's the truth. Like I get it. It's like
people are saying like that's kind of the point and the charm of it, which is true, but that's not how the oligarchs look at it.
I'm not here saying that I love the Open Cup. I think it's awesome. It's opened up opportunities for so many players as well. I think that it's a good development place. But people then get pissed off when the kids are playing. So it's a whole other thing. It is a tournament where no one is ever happy. And that is all I'm trying to say. Is like you're not making the oligarchs happy. You're not really making a lot of fans happy. It's poorly marketed. It's just like and US soccer is a part. It's a mess, okay? And it sucks. It's a beautiful mess. But that's the reality. And I wish that the Defiance were playing in it.
So what is your understanding that like the Defiance not being in it is related to it being a World Cup year, and theoretically they would be back in it next year?
So all right. Basically what's happening is like they're cutting down the duration of it. So they're cutting out that first round, which is like where all the MLS Next Pro teams, and they're basically just cutting all the MLS Next Pro teams.
If they're not in it for this next year for that reason, and then in future Open Cups, the Defiance I just want the Defiance to be in it. I think that was not only like fun content, but that was like such good experience for those guys to like get to play in those games. Like you're putting young players, you're giving them a chance to prove themselves and play in these high intensity, high pressure moments. There is no better way to develop than reps like that.
I agree.
So that's like, honestly, as much as the fun of the games and the moments and all that, you're losing like a kind of key developmental platform in a way. Like that's how I think Jake might have been pointing out in chat. That's how a lot of guys who are now on the first team kind of first made their name, Paul Rothrock included.
I think there's a way to make this work for everyone, which is like you just ban Next Pro teams. You put every MLS team in there under their logo, and you can play whoever you want on your roster.
I think that's a good idea. Like you can play the Next Pro, but they are the Sounders. Yeah,
you can play academy kids. You can play anyone. You can play anyone. Just like open it up. Like I think that there is a way to make it work for everyone, and you can still have the brand, the brand name of these MLS teams. It's just like that's what I'm saying. Like it's not. I love it. I'm not here shitting on the Open Cup. Like I love the Open Cup. We've made videos about the Open Cup. It's just the reality. Like you have to look at it from all of these perspectives of like, how does the club perceive it? How does a fan perceive it? How does a player perceive it? And it's just like, it's just not working right now. And it sucks. And I hope that this year, maybe they can kind of shuffles. I don't know what's going to happen with it. It will always be here in some sense, but I am very sad that we won't get to go out to Starfire and watch our boys at the Defiance who don't play in Tacoma but pretend to play in Tacoma. They won't have that, which sucks.
A lot of people get really upset when like when Seattle's first team was in Open Cup and they would play younger lineups and they would get eliminated sometimes because it's like they weren't playing anything close to their first choice lineup because they were dealing with fixture congestion, and people really didn't like that. To me, it seems like it's just kind of clear. Things evolve sometimes, right? Like like first teams used to go really hard in the Open Cup, especially like when Seattle first got into MLS. They were like sending their big dogs out there. They were gunning for it in that tournament. That was great. I think what it's evolved into, especially like with the advent of Leagues Cup, like it or not, it's here to stay.
Yep.
So with the advent of Leagues Cup, Open Cups, the function of the Open Cup has kind of evolved into a more like developmental platform. That's why I never thought of that idea, but the idea of letting them brand it as the first team, but play the Defiance guys, what's wrong with that? That's a good idea.
You've got to open it up. You've got to make it work for the teams. And that's what I'm saying is like US soccer needs to work with ML. It just, you have to figure, people will bitch and moan all day that, Leagues Cup is a cash grab and it's ruining the beauty of the Open Cup. Whatever. Brother, do you really want to watch Houston Dynamo versus San Jose Earthquakes at 9:30 p.m. in some random stadium? And it's like,
even if you do want that, you should be able to understand that there's not like widespread appeal for that.
Yeah, you have to understand, is someone going to pay for that in a random stadium, in a random small stadium, or are they going to watch Cruz Azul versus the Seattle Sounders? Like, I understand. I get it. But like, you have to be realistic. Everyone needs to be realistic. Let's find a way to make this shit work. And you can do that. It's possible.
Yeah. It is unfortunate though, like having no Seattle area representation. Like that's a bummer.
Guys, how many goals did the Sounders score against Cruz Azul? I couldn't remember. And maybe you could count them up in chat. I don't remember how many they scored.
Is this right?
7 maybe?
7? God, that game was so sick.
Oh my God. That's like, you know how people just talk about guys? Sometimes you just bring up a guy. You're just like, you ever remember Andrew Craven? You know, you just like bring up a guy. That's going to be my thing. You guys ever remember that Puskas Cruz Azul game? I do. I was there.
Oh, okay. I had 2 more things that I wanted to hit, Noah.
Yeah.
Before we do the Moose Court discourse, I wanted to bring up I got tagged on Blue Sky.
Oh,
someone tagged me on Blue Sky.
Out.
I got called out.
Holy shit.
Someone didn't like my take about the Seattle Sounders offense from last year, bringing up a lot of points that are bad points.
How many characters? Which
is why I wanted to address him. He broke them up into 2.
Did he go 4K words or what?
No, but he packed a lot in the words that he did right. But like, I'm gonna pull it up, not to antagonize the person who wrote it. In fact, I will say before we do this, I love it when people disagree with me and call me out. Generates discussion. So
that's honestly, my whole job.
I honestly encourage people to do what this guy did, and I appreciate that he did that. So I'm not like trying to put him on blast, but I am gonna address some of these points. I'm gonna pull it up.
Pull it up.
Tags me right here. Says, I absolutely hate how you keep saying 80 goals across all comps. Fucking cop out. Sounders were tied for 8th in goals this season, 23 goals behind the leader. We don't get to play Antigua week after week. They play in MLS. And then he goes on to say, gave up 68 goals all comps, which is Civ-like, right? Civ-like. But I don't hear you much saying about being plus 10 in goal differential this season, and that is down from plus 15 in 2024. Okay, so this is an issue that more than this person have brought up, which is I've been giving them credit in the all-encompassing evaluation for the goals they scored in CCC in Leagues Cup, and citing that as the number of goals that they scored last season. And we've got a few things going on here, which is that we got it doesn't count argument first and foremost. So let's I just want to address that first, because the implication here is like the goal scoring total all comps is inflated because of games like the Antigua game, I guess is the example. And you're only looking at league play to make your evaluation of the offense, which was 58 goals in this case. And I understand some people like see this differently, but I just don't agree with that. I think when you're evaluating the attack from last year, you got to look at the whole body of work and not just league play. You can take away the 6 goals they scored against Antigua, and the output was still phenomenal. They would still be at 80 goals, all comps. And I think if you're trying to argue that the Leagues Cup goals don't count, I think that is honestly just ridiculous. That was like a very integral, important part of the season that they put a lot into. A lot of like their best lineups, their best players, their best performances were aimed at winning that trophy, and it was wildly successful. So all those goals that they scored in that tournament, I count towards the total performance of the offense. If you don't, and you want to say they don't count, that's your prerogative, but you're kidding yourself. Like you have to take the whole body of work into account. And just to address the second part about like us not talking about the defense, there's just no way you listen to the show if that's what you're saying. Like, there's no way. Like, the whole point of me bringing up that point about the offense is, to me, when I look at like the problems with this team, that's where I'm talking about it through a lens of that. Like, what do they need to improve on? What do they need to fix next year? Yeah, there's stuff that they can do to with the offensive personnel to make sure like they maintain this output. But the whole point is that the issue was the defense, which is what I've been saying all along. The goals conceded were the bigger issue with this team than them being unable to score goals. They scored a lot of goals galore. That's the other thing. He's saying tied for 8th in goals this season in the league. Like, that's like a bad stat. 58 goals for a league season. The way I think of it is like,
oh, by the way, your main striker's out basically the whole season. Half the season, your best winger is out. What? Huh?
Yeah.
Like, go back and look at how many goal contributions Jordan Morris had last season. And you want to talk about plus or minus goal differential.
Yeah, well, and like, I don't know, plus 10 from plus 15, I don't think is like insane drop off. But they scored 58 goals in the league this season, which isn't like an incredible total, but it's pretty damn good. Like, the way I look at it is you want to be like in that 60 range. If you're in that 60 range, that's a pretty good attacking season in the league. They end up at 58, which, yeah, it's eighth in the league.
And 20 of them were offside. There was like 20 called back for offside. So.
Yeah, that too. 58 was top 10 in the league, like this guy even said. Top 10 in the league, 5th in the West. That's pretty good. That's good. And when you combine that with the fact that they were ripping it up in Leagues Cup and scored 16, 17 goals on top of that, that's even better. And I count the ones from CCC too. The thing about saying that goals against Antigua don't count is that every club who plays in CCC gets roughly the same amount of those types of games against opponents like that. When you have a good offense, what you do in games like that is you put it on that team. You score 6 goals across 2 games against them. You do your job, you be professional, and you don't let anything crazy happen. They did that. So they get credit for that. If they were the only team in CCC that was playing a team like Antigua, maybe there would be more to that. But everyone gets those same opportunities. Some teams are good and capitalize on them and take care of business. Others don't. We see teams get eliminated in CCC by teams like Antigua all the time. So to just say we don't play Antigua every week, like, that's you had to score those goals to get by them in the tournament, which is what you're trying to do. So what are we talking about?
I don't even want to take this from a statistical point of view because let's just, you know what? We're living in fantasy land anyway. Are you going to sit here and tell me that last season was more fun to watch and more effective attacking soccer than what we watched this season? You think the team last year was putting up 7 against Cruz Azul? You think the team last year would have even made it to a third game against Minnesota? Hell no.
No.
Hell no. They did exactly. Brian Schmetzer did exactly what everyone asked for. They made this team fun to watch. They were effective. They were able to, in many cases, break through and win games that they would not have been able to win last season, where they just weren't able to find a goal. They couldn't buy a goal. Like it was so hard for them to score the one. Remember? Multiple goals?
Yeah. Yes, the multiple goals bit. Exactly. I feel like people forget about this.
This
like
was a
year ago, and that's where we were at. So like if you're gonna look at a season where they score 87 all comps and tell me that the ones against Antigua don't count, that doesn't like disprove anything that we're saying about the offense. To me, when I look at this team, I see a team that had one of the best attacks in MLS this year, but that it was almost like I feel like they struggled to find the balance between what they were in 24 and then what they were trying to be in 25, where it ended up like they ended up leaking way more goals.
I genuinely think, and I mean this so wholeheartedly, if they get past Minnesota, they win the play. Like they win MLS Cup this year. If they can keep doing what they're doing from the Leagues Cup and bring that momentum into the playoffs, if they get past Minnesota, which was literally just their thorn in their side the whole season, I truly believe that they could have beaten any team.
Okay, so this is actually
looked that good. It's not about the stats. It's not about the numbers. It's not about +10, +5 goal differential bullshit. It's about, did you watch? Did you watch the games? Did you have them on the television? This team looked violent. They looked just like sweltering, and they would bury
that high
opponents,
press.
bro.
I love watching
Yes.
this.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Paul Rothrock stealing the ball off the fucking goalkeeper? Like, what are you talking about? This attack was incredible. Incredible.
They got so good at high pressing and winning the ball in like really dangerous areas high up the field and getting goals off that in a way that they just weren't doing in 2024 at all. And that became like such a strong suit of their game in a way that was like it was exhilarating at times. Like, I don't know how you're like who's watching that Leagues Cup game and saying
what are you even mad about?
The 7. So I think the implication is like people want the offense to be bad because they have like they got this agenda that they've had dating back to 2024 and they can't let go of it. That's what this is. They're pathologically incapable of looking at an entire season's worth that disproves what they're talking about and changing their perspective. So now they're tagging me on the sky. But
this is exactly it. The XG wars of 2024 were catastrophic. Brother, the amount of times that I had to literally crash out and smack my microphone into my head because we were talking about, it's going to come, guys. I promise the goals are going to come. They've got 3 XG in this game. It's like they should have. They were there. Like it was going to. We didn't even have to talk about it.
There was no XG merchanting. They were just scoring the goals like pretty much all season.
Like,
and,
listen, anytime I don't have to think about XG, that's a beautiful day. That's a good offense. All right.
This whole conversation is making me so glad we don't have to deal with the XG wars of 2024. Like
we were at each other's throats.
We were.
Thank you, Brian Schmetzer, for saving this podcast.
There's work to be done with this roster. That's not to say that they can't get better, or that they shouldn't sign attacking players, or that they shouldn't sign a U22 number 9. But we just need to start this conversation from a place of reality, which is that they were scoring at a ridiculous clip, and the fact that they only came in at 58 in the league definitely does not disprove that. So, but that's a good segue for the last topic, because the Moose debate is still in full force. Nico and I got into it over it on Monday. We don't need to go down the whole rabbit hole, but like, we got a couple responses to that. I got cooked, so that I gotta respond.
Listen, this is the hill that you chose to die on, and they are pouring molten lava down your anthill right now.
I'll keep dying on it. But okay, let's start it with something that you just said, which is that this attack was a freaking buzzsaw for a lot of last year. It was through all of Leagues Cup. And honestly, even in the playoffs, after the clean sheet against Minnesota, they racked 7 goals in the last 2 games of the season against Minnesota.
Moose was really good.
The Moose debate comes down to, like, do you think moving off him and replacing him, no matter how much GAM or TAM or whatever you get, like, it's 2 separate questions. What's better for this team long-term in the future, in the next few years after this year, or what's better for 2026? And I continue to think that if we're talking about purely 2026, there's at least a very compelling argument to be made that Moose being a part of that makes total sense. And that, in fact, not only does it make sense, but it's something that they should do. And, I don't need to go rehash my entire take on it, but I think that I think people are too dismissive of the season that Moose just had, and we're not like properly acknowledging or appreciating how insane the season he had really was. So to illustrate that, I'm gonna throw some stats at you, Noah, but you should be able to understand these. It's literally just goals plus assists, okay, in all of MLS.
But why are we even talking about this? It's not about that he had a good season or that he couldn't play well. It's about he's old and you need to make room, and it makes no contractual sense to keep him when you could get money from him, when you could open up cap space.
That depends what the offer is. Like,
no, it doesn't make any sense. You have Osaze, you have you want to sign a U22. Where does it make sense in the roster build to keep him? It doesn't make any sense.
You have him. You exercise this option. You already have him on the roster.
Yes, I know, but I'm saying you move him, you open up more space. It's purely a roster building thing. It's not about that. If he came back, I don't know if he could do it again. It doesn't really matter though, because he did what he did and it was impressive and it was good and he looked really good. It's the same system. They're running the same players. I get it. But the problem is he's elderly. He's old. Get some value for him, man.
He's 30. That's not that old for a number 9. That doesn't really rely on speed and athleticism as much.
That's true.
For 2026, like, it's not
30,
I think that is sort of like
old. That's like dirt.
I don't like, he's not aged out for 2026. Like I don't think there's this like crazy drop off potential from the ages of 29 to 30. The things that would cause that
you're going to get your money now. Get your money now. Get your bread.
But
trade him for a winger.
What good is the bread if you can't replace his goal scoring production and feel confident in the plan that you have to
what's his goals per 90 compared to Osaze?
I mean, I don't know. Osaze is on a way smaller sample size.
So what? Goals per 90.
So you can rely on a sample size that Moose proved it over more than you can that Osaze did. The Osaze point is something to be taken into account, but I think, like, you want to talk about the risks of relying on Georgie. All those exact same points could be made about Osaze. He looked awesome in Leagues Cup, but like,
and
banking on him to being a carry the load scoring player and moving off Moose when you don't have to just give him that role, I would not feel that comfortable with that. And I also think, okay, so this is the thing that I was going to talk about that I won't even do the stat, but
Go for the stats. No, get the stats. Get the stats. Get the stats out there.
Okay. This is literally just who in MLS had the most goal plus assist in 2025. It's not an underlying number. It's not advanced stat. All right. This is kind of funny to look at because you got Messi at 56. This is all comps, by the way. You got Messi at 56, and Sam Surridge is the next closest at 28. Peter Musa won it. Sam Surridge, Peter Musa, two of the best pure number 9s in the league. Martin Ojeda, freaking MVP candidate, who was tearing up the league for like 3/4 of the season at 25. And then you go down to Hugo Kuipers, Luis Suarez, Moose right there, Choupo-Moting, who just had an insane year, Baribo, who was up for the Golden Boot for a lot of the year, and Alonso Martinez, who's one of the best forwards in the league. I'm not bringing this up to say that he's as good as all these players necessarily, but I think when we talk about the season that he just had, we need to be serious about like how good it really was, because he got to this total. All the rest of these guys were playing every single minute of every single one of their team's league games. Moose wasn't. He only played 1,500 minutes in the league last year, and he still ended up listed with all these guys.
If anyone is doubting that, they're dumb. But no one's doubting that.
Well,
that's
so
not
like
the reason not to re-sign him. It's purely a roster building thing.
Getting rid of a goal scorer that's that productive and that efficient when you don't have to is not good roster building, unless you have a very serious, concrete, good plan to replace it, which I don't know if they have that.
Jordan Moore.
The fact that he just had a season like that was listed up with all these guys, you can say that it's all the system and he was just poaching or whatever. But like, so the comp that I was taking heat for was I was comping him to Brian White. Okay. Vancouver Whitecaps striker, which Nico didn't like that comp. Chat didn't like that comp. Just listen. Don't leave the stream. Don't leave the stream. Okay. I'm not saying that he's as good as Brian White. I'm not. But when you look at the seasons that they had last year, it was pretty much the same. Okay. And if you want to tell me that Brian White is a better, like upper tier, like a
Brian
tier
White
above
was
player,
injured.
Yeah. Moose didn't play because he was not in the lineup because someone else was starting or whatever. So like they played roughly the same amount of minutes and had the same amount of production. I fully agree with the point that Brian White is a slightly better, more well-rounded player. Okay. I can.
Slightly is a crazy word to add in there.
The goal production was the same is the point. So
Brian White is 100 times better than Danny Musovski.
My point is that it's the similar profile of guy in terms of like a random MLS super draft pick domestic striker whose goal scoring production far out exceeds their name value. If you go back to when Brian White was first on the Whitecaps, no one thought that Brian White was this good. They deserve all the.
Whoa! We like Scottish Messi, first of all.
Scottish Messi, but I'm not talking about Scottish Messi.
But we liked them all. We liked the whole crew. We liked Brian White too.
It's a number 9. Again, whose goal production is vastly exceeding what you would think they would be able to do from their name value. They scored pretty much the same amount of goals last year. And my point is too, part of like the advantage of a situation like this is if you have a player like that, who's a domestic player who you're not paying all that much money for. Moose was on 500K last year. That's like one of the biggest roster hacks that you can have. And the best teams in this league, the teams that build the best rosters, and something that Seattle has been very good at, they find those deals that you can get, those ways to kind of skirt around the salary cap. Like in this case,
or you could get a 200K cap hit on a U22
and have no idea if they can produce anywhere near the clip that Moose just did.
But you're starting Jordan Morris, so it's fine, and you have Osaze as a backup.
You're starting the Moose Jordan rotation at that spot is much more comfortable, in my opinion, than Jordan Osaze, especially with Jordan coming off a year where he was injured all year and Osaze still being unproven.
Ferreira.
Do you think that's going to work as well as Moose at the 9? He had 5 goals last year. You almost had to get a tattoo.
I did almost have to get it. I'm just saying there's options, brother, and you can sell him and get money and get space. And like, I don't know. I don't know. I can't buy into it. I can't buy the stock. I can't.
That's fine.
Listen,
I mean,
brother, it's called Enron. I can't buy it.
I know no one else. I know no one else is buying it, but like I just don't see. Yeah. Okay. So all right. This guy's saying 1 season. So that's the other thing that Nico was saying is he's talking about the track record. Like Brian White has a multi-season track record of his production and Moose doesn't. And if you go through Moose's track record, what happened last year was like this total outlier. But if you want to talk about track record, let's actually look at the track record. Let's look at the track record, because I think this is a point that gets lost in this a little bit, which is that the whole thing with Moose is there is no track record. That's like how they were able to sign him. This is his career right here. Nico is talking about a 1,200 minute sample that he had for Real Salt Lake in 2023, where he scored 5 goals in 1,200 minutes, which is okay, but certainly not the rate he was scoring this year when he had 14 in 1,500 minutes. You guys know how hard that is to do? 14 in 1,500 minutes. I love Jordan Morris. He's never had a season where he was scoring like that. The last striker that the Sounders had who had seasons like this was Rui Diaz. That's not comping them as players. That's just looking at their goal production. 14 goals in 1,500 minutes is pretty much exactly the type of season that Rui Diaz always had for the Sounders, because he was like a part-time player. He was injured all the time. So like that is like the level of production that we're talking about here. Looking at the rest of his track record, you have these 3 years with LAFC where he played 500 minutes, 700 minutes, and 600 minutes. And you have 11 goals that he scored over those 3 years. None of that is anything that I think you can draw any like track record conclusions from. Like, I really don't think so. If these were 2K minute seasons where these numbers were the same, or even like 1,500 minute seasons with LAFC where the goal scoring numbers are the same, like I might see that differently. But like these 1,200 minutes in 23 with Real Salt Lake, we have no idea what the context for that was. Like for all we know, like he could have been in a lot of great spots where his teammates were missing him, where he would have scored if he was on a better team or whatever. We just don't know. So like the argument of like he's never done it before, so we already know for a fact it's an outlier. When you actually look at the track record, I just don't think that's true. And if I did look at it and I felt differently, like I would say it. I would be like, that's an outlier. The odds he's going to do that again are pretty low, but that's not actually the case. And I think the reality is that, to me, it's actually more likely that if Moose had been given more minutes in his career, it's more likely to me he would be closer to the type of player we saw this last year than it is that he's just this total bum and last year was an outlier. So
I don't think he's a bum, but I also think you're ignoring the biggest fact of this. He was surrounded by one of the most lethal attacks in wing plays anywhere. He had the benefit of Pedro de la Vega. He had the benefit of Paul Rothrock, Jesus Ferreira, Albert Rusnak. He has all of these weapons. He's never, ever, ever been on a team and may never again be on a team with that many weapons. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. He wasn't getting it done at Real Salt Lake because they had no one around him. He's not the superstar that I think like you're making him out to be. I understand that like it's about a guy who fits in and slots in and makes production when you need it. I agree with that. And I don't even think that it's a terrible idea to keep him. But the reality is he had a fucking super team, dude. He was playing with an extra DP. He's playing with some of the most productive attackers in the entire league. I'm telling you right now, there's a reason that Osaze de Rosario was able to step into that position and be successful. It's not because Osaze de Rosario is a superhero. He was talented. He was talented at the Defiance, but he was a really good Next Pro player. He was a really good Canadian Premiership player, but he's always been on the bubble. He's always been on the bubble. You can look at him just like Moose. Do you think that he is somehow like 10 times better than Moose? I don't know. I think they're pretty comparable players, but I think he's a younger guy. He is on a development track. And the reality is you can take Moose, you can move him, you can make some money, and you can do something well, not only for the club, but for himself, right? Like you're doing something good for Moose as well. You're going to get him more money. I don't understand how you don't like, I don't understand the argument, because it's like, I watched this guy play. I watched this guy play when he didn't have those weapons around him last season. You know what he looked like? Terrible. He looked terrible. And I understand the argument, and I want to give you the benefit of the doubt. He didn't have consistent playing time.
Yes.
That is true. And that's the big caveat to this, is like, maybe we'll never know. But that's the problem, is you can't bank on that either, because you don't know either. You're making assumptions with it. Neither of us know. We're shooting in the dark. So what I look at, let's go back to that season that Nico's talking about, right? Do we have the context for each of the individual games? Do we have the context for the team? No, but I think that we can both suss out that was not that great of a team. That was not
2023 Real Salt Lake. No.
Yes. And so was he making magic happen? Absolutely not. And so I don't think that he's this like whisperer, really good player who like you just have to give him minutes to be successful. I think he's a type of player where you need to put him with good pieces and he can tap in goals.
Can you say that about any striker?
What?
Can't you say that about any striker? There's very few strikers that can transcend their surroundings if their surroundings are.
I mean, but the thing is, that's what Jordan Morris was doing last year. Like, there was just no attacking momentum unless Jordan was able to make something happen, right? Like, when he was out, it was just a shit show trying to figure out how to score. It was, right? Like, you remember that. Danny Musovski couldn't get it done. He was supposed to be that guy who was able to step in and make that thing happen. And it's like, that's just the truth. It's purely a financial decision where it makes the most sense going forward. And you already have someone in Osaze who, listen, I'm going to steal something from chat here. Osaze looks better on the eye test, faster, stronger, better dribbling. Do you remember how many times I remember Moose did like the with the ball, like just dribbling around and then fell over backwards on himself, like in the box? It's just the truth, man. Like, I think Moose is a great player, and I think he deserves a raise, and he deserves to go somewhere that he can be effective and score those goals. And I like him as a person, and I love his crash outs. They're fucking awesome.
Part of the year.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I can't get on board with it. I can't get on board with it. If you put him on another team, he's not going to do this. If you put him on this team again, he might do it if he gets the run of minutes, but he's not going to get the run of minutes. Jordan's going to be healthy this year, because I'm knocking on wood.
Even if Jordan is healthy next year, like you have a situation at the beginning of the season where you've got the road trip from hell with CCC and the start of the league season that you have to juggle. You're not going to be able to play the same 11s like when you're juggling those games. So I would rather have. I feel more comfortable. Like, maybe you're super bought in on Osaze. I would argue you're making way more assumptions on Osaze being ready to be that guy when we have like an entire year from Moose where he literally just already was that guy. I just think you have a situation where you just got elite goal scoring production for $450K. It bailed you out all of last season, by the way, because Jordan Morris wasn't available hardly at all. And the backup plan, which we were all skeptical of coming off 2024, actually cooked. And you have the contract option that you exercise where like you could theoretically get that production again, assuming he can replicate it with all the same weapons you just mentioned coming back. I think it's decently likely that he can have a pretty similar season, and you have that for way below market value. That's a hack. That is the more smart financial decision than selling that for a bag and just giving the job to Osaze when you don't really. I think Osaze is good and can probably do it, but I don't know. And I also think we're overstating like how much the Sounders system or whatever, like had to do with it. Like, I don't think the Sounders system is really good. It's the best chance generation like they've had in a while. I don't think it means that you could put like anyone in at the number 9 and they'll do exactly what Moose did last year. I don't buy that at all. Like,
I don't think so, but it's about the archetype of player. And you can't tell me that the archetype of player in Danny Musovski and Osaze de Rosario is not very similar.
It's just a matter of, I don't know if I want to call Moose like proven off 1 year, but like he did it all year. Like there was no point where it slowed down.
And you know what? And Osaze didn't get the minutes. If we just gave Osaze the minutes, he would have this season too. Because
you're sure about that. And I don't think you're sure
about. But that's what you're sure about. Is that
I have a year of sample size. You have like 500 minutes.
But he hasn't had the chance. He hasn't had the chance. So why can't we give him the chance?
I'm happy to give him the chance.
Because if Moose gets the chance, why can't he get the chance?
Do you really not see the difference between a guy who literally just did it for an entire year and a guy who has barely played in his career? That's not the same thing. There's no way you're saying that's the same thing. Actually. Not nearly as much as Moose did.
Yeah, for sure.
There's no comparison in like the consistency and like
listen. I cannot get on board with keeping Danny Musovski when you can move him again. Like we're getting in chat here. Do we want Moose to walk for free or extend him through 27-28? You know, I don't know. It's just like the whole thing is
$505K. You're telling me a guy
he's gonna want a pay raise.
A guy who just like was performing at the same level as all those guys I just listed for $565K. And you're just gonna like get rid of that because you believe in Osaze that much? I don't know, man. I think this is just like anti-Moose. People just don't want to believe or accept that Moose just did what he just did, but he did it.
It's not anti-Moose. It's about it's about like they've already said they want to sign a U22 striker. Why the fuck would you keep Moose when you could?
They're not going to sign a U22 striker. They say that they're going to do that, but they're not going to do it. I'm not saying like he's the guy of the future. I'm talking about 2026. 2026, after what this attack with this personnel just did last year and what he did individually last year, you're dismissing it in a way that you wouldn't any other player.
I'm not dismissing it. I literally caveated all of this at the beginning by saying Moose had an incredible season.
He only did it because of the teammates and we don't.
I didn't say that. I said that. No.
See, that is exactly what you just said.
No, that's not what I said. I said that you can't tell me that his teammates did not play a large role in his success. And you said, could that not be said for any team? And I said, yeah, exactly. So you're telling me in your own words that anyone in that position requires a good team around them and frankly is held up by a good team around them. You said that any striker, you said basically any striker needs a good team around them to be successful. So what are we talking about? I'm using your own words against
you've lost the plot on
we need order in this court.
You've lost the plot on
the plot.
You're the one who was saying that it was all the components around him, and that's the only reason. The way you talk about it, like you could literally like drag anyone off the street, put you in there, and you're banging the goal. That's not how it works in reality.
I'm scoring 10. I'm scoring 10, and I'm getting a Paul Rothrock contract. I'm telling you right now. I have a wicked, terrible shot, and I'm putting 10 in. I'm telling you. If I had Jesus Ferreira,
like you guys are all bugging.
Wait, can we put up a poll? Let's put up a poll on the YouTube channel.
I'm gonna lose the poll. I really don't care. I think this whole thing is stupid.
This is my favorite hill you've ever had because it's like I agree with you that he had an incredible season. And it's
anyone
just
in chat would have scored 10 plus goals.
Enough. We have like a minimal disagreement, but it's like no.
Then why sign the U22 number 9? Like why, if you can just put in anybody and they're going to do the same thing, like
because you're going to build up a U22 to be talented and to replace Jordan Morris. That's the whole point. Moose is not going to replace Jordan Morris. Who is going to replace Jordan Morris? Not fucking Daniel Musovski.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that right fucking now.
It's two different questions, 2026 versus beyond that.
You have to start planning now. You have to be thinking 3 years ahead. Why signing Moose and just playing Moose is not thinking 3 years ahead. It's not. It's just not. It's just not. I can't get behind it. I can't get behind it.
Y'all are just anti-Moose. It's fine. It's fine.
I love Moose. I love him.
I think if they did move off of him, y'all would be reality checked on this. Guys who can score 14 goals in 1,500 minutes are not easy to find. If you think Osaze could do that exact same thing,
if he comes back and puts up a stinker, what are you going to say?
Then I'll be like, yeah, that it was an outlier and I was wrong.
Exactly. So I'm going to say the same thing. If he comes back and puts up a bunch of numbers, I'll say, awesome, I was wrong.
All right, then we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We should put a bet on this.
We should what?
We should put a bet on this.
Yeah, what do you want to bet? We don't know if he's going to be back yet. Let's assume
this is contingent on him coming back and playing, and there's got to be like a minutes number. Chat, why don't you guys help come up with some of these? But this is good.
There are people that agree with me on this.
No, okay? It's pretty evenly split.
Yeah.
It's 37 to 60, but like I feel like the general consensus online is pretty split.
Can't say anyone would score 10 when Jesus couldn't buy a goal playing as the 9. That's the like it's I think it's way oversimplifying it to say like
Jesus Ferreira is a reason. He's the reason he's scoring so much. What are we talking about? Jesus Ferreira is
crashing out about him as the 9 more than anyone.
Yes, exactly. That proves my point that you need people around you to be successful. So when you pull one of the best facilitators in the whole fucking league out of his position and then you put him at the 9, which was never his fucking position to begin with, what are we talking about? This is exactly proving my point. If you have good facilitators, anyone can score. He's a fucking incredible facilitator. That's why he played there. That's why he played on the wing. That's why Albert Rusnak had an incredible season. And then you have Paul Rothrock and Pedro de la Vega. You had the fucking dream team of 3 distributors. And just like you could literally put a warm body, a wheelchair, a rebounder. You could put a fucking rebounder in there. I'm telling you, please. We're understating how incredibly good Jesus Ferreira, Albert Rusnak, and Pedro de la Vega are. It's the best attacking trio in the entire league. Hands down. Hands down. Messi doesn't have shit on them. Literally.
I don't think you can plug and play any 9 and expect like those type of results. But we'll find out.
You put that trio in the championship, brother. I'm telling you.
I don't know. I think that is actually kind of proven the point the opposite way because he made $400K this last year and is making $585 this year. But why change that plan when you're getting it for that cheap? It's like a great deal.
Concede to your point of Moose could be a good option on the salary that he's making, considering that he's proven, because I don't think that that's a bad point. I will concede on that. If you concede that is there, you cannot pretend that this isn't one of the best attacking trios with distribution specifically, which aids in the fact that like that so visibly aided him in his ability to have chances to convert. Yes, you have to convert them. I understand that. He missed a fuckload of them too. His conversion percentage is not one of the best, but he had so many opportunities in quality positions that even a brick could lay that up. Like you have to at least admit that the distribution that he was getting was such an important piece of his success.
Yes, obviously. I just don't see why why is that relevant to whether like he should be on the team or not. Like that's like any striker. Like you need like a poacher number 9 like that, or any type of number 9. Like a lot of the times it is dependent on the service that they get. That's not a novel concept. That's not more true of Moose than it is any other striker. Like. So I don't see like what that proves.
If it isn't okay, so it isn't any more true or less true with Moose, then you could just put anyone in there.
We'll find out. We will find out. We're going in circles at this point, but we will.
I love you, Ari.
Find out. No, I mean, it's great discourse, and I'm happy to be the one dying on the hill because
when you're right,
I mean,
it's gonna look so sick.
The funny thing is, I think the most likely outcome is that they're just going to keep him because I think what I was saying earlier about like in all likelihood, for all the hell we know, there was freaking Chris Wondolowski out there this entire time, and no MLS team was ever just giving him minutes. I don't think he was like that good a player, but I think if you ask the Sounders front office, like, do you think he is closer to the player we saw last year, or do you think it was an outlier? I think they would agree with me, and you can say that they're crazy on that, but they did cook on it so far. They cooked on it last year, and it saved the season. So to dismiss that offhand and say that anyone could do it, I don't agree. And I'm going to continue to die on the hill. So
I can't wait to cut this video and title it "Two Idiots Fight Over a Moose."
It's good. It's good discourse. Nico and I went at it over this on Monday. We went at it on it tonight. So we're going to keep doing it too. We're going to keep doing it all offseason until we figure out what the hell is
Craig,
happening. I appreciate everyone giving their perspectives. Noah, let's get out of here. But real quick before we go, you have any MLS Cup thoughts or predictions? People were asking.
Let's go Vancouver.
Why?
Go Caps. Why not? I like the Caps roster. I like Jesper Sorensen. I look at Cascadia win. Again, they're not our rivals. They just are like the cute team to the north. And I like that. And we've both been hot on this Caps team all season. They kind of replaced our LA Galaxy fandom. And I don't know. I feel like we've been like recognizing the quality the past few seasons. And so it would be kind of cool for them to finally get rewarded on that. And more than that, they made so many good moves in this past offseason. Like, it is truly in the same vein that the Sounders ideology differs from the the Messiite thing. Like, they moved Pedro Vite. They made a bunch of transfers and then somehow reloaded and got even better in the midst of like pretending to sell their team. So it's like, I don't know. I'm a fan, and I just don't want Messi to win anything.
Yeah, so. Agreed with all that. We got a super chat to close it out from a good one, I believe our LAFC friend. Peso Pluma, que onda, wey? I don't know what that means, but thank you for the 10-1. Appreciate you. All right, we're gonna get out of here on that good Danny Leyva discourse. Good Moose discourse, good Open Cup discourse, good stuff all around. Appreciate you all.
Love you, Juan.
To the off-season content. Noah, thanks for tapping in. We got good discussion out of that.
Always, it's always a joy to spend time with you, Ari. You're the greatest.
That was awesome. Everyone, like the video, sub to the channel. Shout out to everyone in chat defending me on the Moose take. There's only a few of you out there, but you're the real ones. I love you.
And shout out to everyone defending my position on the Moose take. You're the real ones.
There's two sides, and
pick your side.
Right.
We should make a shirt that's
about Danny Musovsky. This is about morality. This is where you stand.
We should make a shirt that's just a Moose shirt, but it's reversible. So it says "I love Danny Musovsky," and then on the inside it says "I hate Danny Musovsky," and you can just flip it over based on like how you're feeling at the time.
I'm the Moose defender, I guess. I'm the Moose defender. But that's a role that I'm going to take. I honestly don't care if anyone agrees with me. I feel like I saw the light on this, but
he's enlightened.
Apparently it's unpopular, but I don't mind going against the grain. But all right, we'll be back at it on Monday, I guess. Maybe I'll rip a little MLS Cup reaction on Saturday or Sunday or something. But failing that, we'll be back at it for Lobbing Scorchers kickoff with Nico on Monday. Like, comment, rate 5 stars, lobbingscorchers.com/sauce. See you guys next time. Until then, we out.
Peace.
Some people come to Lumen Field for the tactics, for the soccer, the atmosphere. And some come for Paul Rothrock's hair. Me personally, I come for both. because I have agendas to push. Live soccer isn't just better, it's way more personal. From making friends to becoming the guy in your section that's just constantly yelling about advanced statistics. Get tickets to any Sounders match by visiting lobbingscorchers.com/tickets. You support the pod, our agendas, the vibes, and the chaos.